Health is wealth is a very old saying, but for every human being, health is extremely important. When we talk about health, it could be physical health or mental health.
இன்னைக்கு உலக சுகாதார மையத்தோட ஸ்டாட்டிஸ்டிக்ஸை நம்ம பார்த்தோம் அப்படின்னா உடல் அளவில் இருக்கிற பிரச்சனைகளை காட்டிலும் மனதளவில் இருக்கிற பிரச்சனைகள் தான் அதிகமாக இருக்குது. அதாவது உலகத்தில் பார்த்திங்கன்னா டாப் 4 டிசீசஸ் அதில் ஒன்று மனநலத்தை சார்ந்த மனச்சோர்வு நோய், அதாவது டிப்ரெஷன் அப்படின்னு ஆய்வுகள் சொல்கிறது. ஆனால் அதற்கான ஒரு மனநலத்துக்கான நம்ம பேணுறது எப்படி, அதுக்கான மருத்துவம் இருக்கா அப்படின்னு பார்த்தா அதற்கான அறியாமை நிறைய இருக்குது. ஒரு மனநல பிரச்சனை அப்படின்னு எடுத்துக்கிட்டாலே இது முதல்ல நம்ம மனசு நம்மளே கண்ட்ரோல் பண்ணிக்கலாம், இதுக்கு ஒரு மருத்துவமா அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு நிறைய பேர் நினைக்கிறாங்க. அண்ட் வீட்டளவுலேயே ஏதாவது சொல்லி இல்லை இது ஒன்றும் இல்லை, இது நீயே சரி செஞ்சுக்கணும், ஒரு பிக்னிக் போனால் சரியாயிரும், இல்லைனா எங்கேயாவது மனசை மாற்றிக்கிட்டால் சரியாயிரும் அப்படின்னு சொல்கிறாங்க. பட் நிறைய சமயங்களில் மனநல பிரச்சனைகள் வரும்பொழுது அது ஒரு நோயாக மாறும் பொழுது, ஒரு மனச்சோர்வு நோயோ ஒரு மனப்பதட்ட நோயோ ஏற்படும் போது வெறும் இந்த மாதிரியான ஒரு செய்கைகள் மூலமா அது சரியாகாது. எந்த ஒரு காரணமே இல்லைனா கூட ஒருத்தருக்கு மனச்சோர்வு இல்லைனா மனப்பதட்டம் ஒரு நோயாக வரலாம். ஸோ மூளையில் ஏற்படுற சில ரசாயன மாற்றங்கள் ஒருத்தருக்கு மனச்சோர்வையோ மனப்பதட்டத்தையோ உண்டாகலாம். அப்படி மூளையில் ஒரு கெமிக்கல்னால ஏற்படுற இந்த மனச்சோர்வோ மனப்பதட்டத்தையோ முறையாக ஒரு மருத்துவரிடம் போனாதான் அதற்கான தீர்வு ஏற்படலாம். அந்த ரசாயனங்களை மட்டுமே குறிவைத்து சில மருந்துகள் இருக்குது. அதை நம்ம ஒரு காலகட்டம் 6 மாதங்களுக்கு வரைக்கும் இல்லைன்னா 9 மாதத்துக்கு வரைக்கும் கொடுக்கும் பொழுது முழுமையாக ஒருத்தர் இதிலிருந்து விடுபடலாம். ஈஸியாக ட்ரீட் பண்ணக்கூடிய நிறைய டிஸார்டர்ஸ் கூட ட்ரீட் ஆகாமையே பல விபரீத விளைவுகளில் போய் முடிவடையுது. அதற்காக மிஸ்கன்செப்ஷன்ஸ் எல்லாம் தூக்கி எறிஞ்சிட்டு உங்கள் உடலை நீங்கள் பேணுற மாதிரி மனசையும் கண்டிப்பாக பேணுதல் வேண்டும்.
Schizophrenia is a severe brain disease. It is not split personality. People with schizophrenia prefer withdrawal and be left alone. They can hallucinate. They can be seen talking and laughing to no one in particular. They're not violent people, but they have sudden and unprovoked bouts of aggression. They experience delusions that causes them to be suspicious and afraid of others. They're confused. They're unable to focus or concentrate, and they neglect routine day-to-day activities.
இந்த மாதிரியான அறிகுறிகளை ஆரம்பத்திலேயே கண்டுபிடிச்சு உடனே தகுந்த சிகிச்சை கொடுத்தா முழுமையா குணமடைய வாய்ப்பு இருக்கு.
You need medication, you need occupational therapy, and finally reintegration into the mainstream society.
Social anxietyங்கிறது ஒரு அதிக அளவான ஒரு வெக்கப்படுறதுனால நம்ம என்ன வேலை பண்ணணும்னு நினைக்கிறோம், மீதி பேரோட பேசுறதா இருக்கலாம், பழகிறதா இருக்கலாம், வெளில காஃபி குடிக்க போறதா இருக்கலாம், இத சோஷியல் ஆன்சைட்டி இருக்கிறதுனால இதெல்லாம் தவிர்க்கும். நிறைய பேருக்கு அங்க நின்று பேச முடியாது, ஒரு இடத்துல ரொம்ப ஸ்வெட்டிங்கா இருக்கு, இல்ல பயங்கரமா ஹார்ட் ஃபாஸ்டா அடிச்சுக்கிறது, இல்ல வயர் கலக்கிற மாதிரி, இல்ல ஒரு த்ரோட்ல ரொம்ப ட்ரைனஸ் இருக்க மாதிரி, இதெல்லாம் இருந்ததுன்னா பிசிக்கல் சிம்டம்ஸ் ஆஃப் ஆன்சைட்டின்னு சொல்லுவோம். அதோட பிசிக்கல் சிம்டம்ஸ் ஆஃப் ஆன்சைட்டியோட ஒரு மனசுல ஒரு பயங்கரமான ஒரு பயம் வந்துடும். அதாவது இந்த இடத்துல நான் இருக்கவே கூடாது, வேற இடத்துக்கு நான் எங்கேயிருந்து ஓடிட்டு, அது தெரிஞ்ச உடனே ஓகே இதுக்கு ட்ரீட்மெண்ட் இருக்குன்னு தெரிஞ்சு முன்னாடி பண்ணலாம். அது இன்னும் நம்ம நாட்டுல நடக்கணும்.
ஸோ இஃப் யூ நோட்டிஸ் தட் அவங்க ஒன்றா ரொம்ப சேடாக இருப்பாங்க, இல்லை விட்ரானாக இருப்பாங்க, எதுலேயும் ஒரு இன்ட்ரெஸ்ட் இல்லை. இஃப் யூ சி டிஃப்ரென்சஸ், ஒரு வேலைக்கு போனோன்னா சரி வேண்டாம் நம்ம தூங்கலாம். ப்ளஸ் இஃப் யூ நோட்டிஸ் தட் மேபி தெர் இஸ் அ ஸ்லைட் ஒரு எலிவேஷன் மூட்ல கொஞ்சம் ஜாஸ்தியாக ஹாப்பியாக இருக்காங்க, ரொம்ப ஜாஸ்தியாக ப்ரொடக்டிவாக இருக்காங்க, இந்த வேலை நிறையா செய்கிறாங்க, ஒரு தெர் இஸ் அ லெஸ் நீட் ஃபார் ஸ்லீப். ஹவு டு வி பிரிங் தம் டு த ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்? ஸோ சில பேருக்கு இந்த சிம்டம்ஸ் தெரிஞ்சிருச்சுன்னா ஹாஸ்பிட்டலுக்கு கூட்டினுவாங்க. எஸ்பெஷலி இஃப் யூ ஃபீல் தட் இது அவங்கள மாதிரி இல்லை, திஸ் இஸ் வெரி டிஃப்ரெண்ட்.
I'm terrified. Terrified of the world we live in, where people play a character, a happier version of themselves. This is why I'm terrified.
It isn't made up. It's not something we can just make up in our head. Depression is real.
Through my friend, I've learned that when someone is depressed, everything they see and hear is interpreted differently.
Remember, it's okay to see a therapist or a psychologist. When you see a doctor if you had cancer, how is this any different?
But when you're clinically depressed, to you, the outside world constantly provides you with opportunities to take your own life.
I asked him, "Are you okay?" He told me that this was the first time someone asked him that.
எல்லாம் சொல்றது போய் நீங்க சும்மா விளையாடி கொண்டிருக்கீங்க நடிக்க வேண்டாம்.
We threw labels and titles on them and saw them for those labels and not for the people they were.
நாங்க எவ்வளோ எல்லாம் கஷ்டப்பட்டு வந்த நாங்க உங்களோட டயர்ட் எல்லாம் ஒன்றும் பெருசு எடுத்ததுக்கெல்லாம் டயர்ட் என்று சொல்ல வேண்டாம். Okay.
Like honestly, I wish parents would take such big deals so seriously because this is not something to laugh about.
She went to school like the rest of us, dressed like us. But the truth is, she was hiding all of it to the rest of the world.
It's like they don't know what depression feels like. Knowing your daughter or son has depression and leaving it like it's nothing.
Okay, we get it. You face so much back home and coming here. You've been through war. But know this, some of us are fighting a war too.
நாங்கள் எல்லோரும் இதற்கு பொறுப்பு. We all are responsible for every victim who took their own life because they are facing this dark, long, deadly battle.
It's a serious issue that we ignore, and some of us even pretend like it doesn't exist.
It was only months later, after this event, that we learned it was more than just an act. It was more than sadness. It's an illness.
Mental illness, depression, anxiety are not your everyday problems. இது உங்கள் நாளாந்த பிரச்சனையில் இல்லை, இது அதற்கு மேல. அவர்களுக்கு நாங்கள் தேவைப்படும் போது நாங்கள் அவர்களை தள்ளிவிட்டோம்.
And it's not just a phase or a mood swing. So when your child is laying in their bed, don't say ningal somebody. Because they could be trying to find a reason to live, and calling them lazy certainly isn't going to help.
And I feel like the South Asian community is a bit more insensitive towards this idea, to this matter.
Some say she didn't have the strength. Others say she did it for attention. But the truth is, we all didn't know what she was going through.
People need to learn that depression is actually a physical chemical imbalance in an individual's brain, and it's not just being sad.
One day, she was fine. The next day, she's in the hospital, fighting for her life.
You may take lightly of someone else's issues, but just offering an ear and listening to someone provides a clinically depressed person a boatload of reasons to keep living.
所以花一点时间 with your kids, friends, family members.
இதொன்றும் சோம்பேறித்தனம் இல்லை, கள்ளம் ஒழிக்கிறதில்லை. எங்களோட இந்த ஜெனரேஷனில் தான் டிப்ரெஷன் கூடுதலாக இருக்கு. You've been through so much yourself and sacrificed almost everything to give us a good life here. We appreciate that. So please, make an effort to listen or understand. Because if we aren't noticed sooner or later, we may become a sacrifice too.
Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for. Tell me, do you wanna go? Where it's covered in all the color lights, where the runaways are under the night. Impossible comes true, it's taking over you. Ladies and gents, this is the moment you've waited for.
two candles.
Loss is hard. Losing a loved one is hard. These two candles represents two of our very own, Maria Das and Abhinaya Shanmuganathan, who we lost.
By lighting these candles, we stand hand in hand. This represents the many individuals who are currently struggling with their mental health.
We're hoping that by the end of this event, you will take mental health more seriously.
Because mental health is not a joke. It is a serious issue in our community.
Sajita and I are honored to introduce our MCs for this evening.
Both of our MCs are SAEC's grade 10 students. Please welcome the spectacular, the amazing, the incredible, Haley and Tanush. Wow, good job, guys. You both did such an amazing job. You guys are equally spectacular, amazing, and incredible. Please give a huge round of applause for our junior leaders. We would like to first acknowledge that we are in the traditional territory of the Mississaugas of the New Credit First Nation.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Saras Academy's TED Ed event titled Let's Dive into Mental Health. SAEC is an after-school academy that is founded by our teacher, Ms. Sujita Udayakumar. She has been teaching with a sprinkle of laughter for over 14 years now. We are now proud to say that SAEC is officially part of TED Ed Schools. The TED Ed program is a youth and education initiative which has grown from an idea worth spreading into an award-winning education platform. It has given students opportunities to connect with a global network of passionate people.
9 selected grade 11 and 12 students have been working for almost 2 years in this training, researching, collecting data, formulating a topic that they are passionate about, innovating an idea, and now sharing these ideas with you. These 9 students were part of TED Ed's curriculum at SAEC and have now completed all aspects of doing a professional TED Ed talk. They concluded their training with the conference call from TED from New York.
Before we begin, we would like to thank our special guests who immediately agreed to support our students with their presence. Thank you to Dr. Gautami Pulokasingam, psychologist at University of Waterloo, Ms. Juanita Nathan, Markham Ward 7 and 8's York Region District School Board Trustee. Thank you to Dr. Mayuri Manokaran, Data and Research Analyst at Royal College of Physicians and Surgeons of Canada. Thank you to Dr. Anu Sriskandaraja, Scarborough Rouge Park, Ward 22's Toronto District School Board Trustee. Thank you to Mr. Parthi Kandavel, Scarborough Southwest Ward 18's Toronto District School Board Trustee. Thank you to TCAS leadership members from Ajax, and thank you to Udaya newspaper editor, Mr. Nagamani Logandralingam.
We would like to thank you for joining here as well, live through Anala Express. Thank you to Mr. Vimaladas Tavaraja and Selvam. Together, let's experience the power of ideas and communication. We're going to show you what happens when you have a passionate teacher and equally passionate students. We know that today our leaders will be the first to have conversations about the various dimensions of mental health.
We would also like to thank Mr. Krushan Sivanayagam, creator and cinematographer of renowned Basement Reels in Toronto.
Before we start the event, we kindly ask everyone to put their phones on silent to reduce distractions. Since this is being broadcasted live, we ask that there is no recordings. However, you can take pictures with no flash.
Starting with Ms. Dachani Raviraj, a grade 11 SAEC student. The title of her TED Talk is Let's Talk Dance. Through her talk, we will learn how traditional dance is connected with mental health.
சாத்விகா சாத்விகா எல்லாம் அப்படியே இருக்கு. சாத்விகா 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 நான் கொஞ்சம் அது இந்த சாத்விகா சாத்விகா இந்த பிள்ளைக்கு நானா என்ன செய்யணும்? சாத்விகா சாத்விகா அவுட் பண்ணுடி. அம்மா சாத்விகா அவுட் பண்ணுடி. ஏய் நீ என்ன மோன் பண்ணல? ஜெல்லன் கர் ஏய் நீ தான் கரலாம். இதுக்கடியே எப்பயும் நீ ஓபன் பண்ணல சொல்லிடுற. ஏ சாமியா ஏய் கீழ அப்பா சொன்னா சாப்பாடு எடுத்து போறா சொல்லி. ஹலோ நான் வந்ததால இது ஓபன் பண்ணேன் எனக்கு தெரியும். அப்படியே சோம்பேறியாவே இரு. இங்க கீழே போறேன். இந்த டோர் அப்படியே ஓபன் பண்ணி கொண்டு இருக்கணும். லாக் பண்ண பாக்க நீங்க இந்த வீட்ல இல்ல. கூப்பிடுங்க ஓம் சொல்லுங்க மாமா. இங்க இங்க அப்படியே எல்லாம் வச்சிருப்போம். அக்கா இந்த வேலைக்காரி மாதிரி நான் இருக்கேன் பாருங்க. Above the ground level, and the search light is angled at 16 feet.
Break the beam. When the beam spreads out at an angle of 6 degrees, how much ground does the search film cover?
Yo.
How much ground?
Yo.
How much ground? So
Yo.
if we do.
It's nothing.
அம்மா இருக்கா?
சாத்விகா
சாத்விகா தெரியுதா? எனக்கு அப்படியே ரூம்ல இருக்காங்க. நீ போய் என்ன சொல்லு? கீழே வாரான்டா. ஓகே?
எங்க இருக்கா?
மேல தான் இருக்கா.
Satvika? Hey, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it yet.
Are you okay?
I don't know actually.
Okay, let's actually talk. Okay, how you actually feel. Okay, we'll go see a doctor. We will see a psychologist, whatever it takes, and we're in this together. It's not your fight, it's our fight. Okay? So I will be there every step of the way. You can talk to your counselor at school. We'll talk to her, we'll make appointments. We'll do this, okay? Don't worry about it. Did you eat?
No.
Okay, I'll go get some. Okay? No, just learn down. Let's go.
Hey, Nina,
This
what
is
happened?
serious. We have to go.
ஏய் நீ பெண்ண கழிச்சல சொல்ல.
You don't know. Just because she's 16 doesn't mean there's no issues. I'm 16. I have
ஓகே
issues
என்ன
too.
உங்களுக்கு பீப்புளுக்கு என்ன ப்ராப்ளம்? என்ன வேலைக்கு போயிட்டு வரீங்களா? வேலையில அங்க பிரச்சனையா?
வேலைக்கு
இல்ல
போனா-
ஊர்ல இருந்த மாதிரி பிரச்சனையா? இப்போ இந்த ஊர்ல நாங்க எவ்வளவு பார்த்து வந்திருக்கோம். எல்லாம் வசதியமா வந்திருக்கு.
I know what that. அவள் எழும்புறது ஓகே நீங்க கூப்பிட்டாலும் அவளால் எழும்புறது கஷ்டம். இப்போ உங்களுக்கும் எனக்கும் எழும்புறது இட்ஸ் லைக் ஜஸ்ட் ஓகே ஐம் லைக் டயர்ட் பட் in the end we still get up from bed. Okay, but அவளுக்கு இப்படிதான் இருக்கும். Okay, இப்போ நீங்க படுத்து கிடக்குறீங்க சரியா, இப்போ it's morning and you need to get up, but imagine கட்டில there's chains, okay, and you're like you're cuffed to the chains, and நீங்க எவ்வளவுதான் உங்களோட கை அதுல இருந்து இழுக்க பார்த்தாலும் it's not gonna work. Okay, அதே மாதிரி இப்போ நீங்க எழும்பி நீங்கள் எங்கேயாவது வெளியே போகணுமெண்டா you just can't, because it's like ஒரு தொட்டிக்கு தண்ணி இருக்குது, நீங்கள் அதுக்குள்ளே உங்களை யாரோ பூட்டி இருக்கிறாங்க சரியா, எவ்வளோதான் திறக்க போனாலும் அது திறக்குதில்லை, மூச்சு முட்டுது, உங்களால் அதுக்கு இருக்க இல்லாமல் இருக்குது. The same thing, she's suffocating.
But எங்கே கொண்டு போகலாம் உங்களை ஆழ்த்த போய் how do we talk about this?
It's actually really simple, okay? All you have to do is you can talk to her. Just ask her how she feels. And you can
counselor போய் நான்
எங்களோட ஸ்கூல்லே இருக்குது. But you have to let her talk to Satvik.
Satvika? Actually, it's a null. Okay? I'm sorry. உங்க கஷ்டம் வந்து உங்களுக்கு புரியல. I understand. Okay? நாங்கள் சேர்ந்து என்னெல்லாம் செய்யணுமோ நம்ம செய்வோம். Yeah? We love you, okay? So, bye.
I love you, Mommy.
I love you too. சேர்ந்து என்னெல்லாம் செய்யணுமோ நம்ம செய்வோம். Yeah? We love you, okay? So, bye.
I love you, Mommy.
I love you too.
To start off our TED Talks with Miss Dachani Raviraj, a grade 7 SAC student. The title of her TED Talk is Let's Talk Dance. Through her talk, we will learn how traditional dance is connected with mental health.
Now you're probably wondering what just happened. So let me put it into words for you to understand. Greetings to all. Thank you to the honorable guests, students, and everyone who has come today to listen to a variety of talks connected to this year's theme, which is mental health. Yes, as you can tell, I am a dancer. And like every story, the story of how I became a dancer is significant. So I still remember that day. I was in kindergarten then. And it was just another day my aunt and I were walking home from school. Except
That day, a young, fair lady walked up to us and gave us her business card. And then poof, she was gone. Immediately, I made a connection with her, and I couldn't explain why. So my mom explained to me that this was a dance teacher, and boy, was I excited. I remember how the 9 Navarasams, the emotions, poured out of me from excitement because I had already made up my mind that I was going to these classes, to anger because my mom said she'll think about it. But my mom finally said okay, and here I am, 12 years later, as a student of Bharatanatyam who will be doing her Arangetram soon. Now, Toronto is home to many Bharatanatyam dancers, and as a student, I'm taking the serious responsibility of making sure that this art form continues to be shared to the next generations. You see, every dance form, every footwork, I see as a beautiful story. So, if our libraries house thousands and thousands of stories, our Bharatanatyam pieces contain millions of stories connected to life. Every time I stand on a stage, I get this opportunity to tell such marvelous historic tales of kings, gods, and goddesses. Now, I know you're probably wondering, how is all this related to mental health? Bear with me for another few minutes. As a mature dancer, I see every dance piece as something that teaches me a lesson. I stop and I ask myself deep questions, and through this, I find myself improving my own mental health because I realize that life is a process with emotions, but what's important is what we decide to do with these emotions. And that is what I wanted to share with you today. I want to talk about dance and how it's made me a strong-minded teenager. Like a few weeks ago, I attended a family function where not everyone sat together. Some people walked over to every table, saying hello and catching up. But others sat far away, even avoiding eye contact. It made me feel uncomfortable how even I was being avoided because of some families holding grudges. But I stopped and I thought about it. I realized that life is too short and there just isn't enough time to be holding grudges. But I only understood this after asking myself, what is this event teaching me? What can I take away from this bad experience? What can I take away from this bad experience? Now, yes, I've been telling you how dance has changed my life, but let me back it up with some stats. Swedish researchers conducted a study on over 100 teenage girls who were struggling with issues like depression and anxiety. Half of these girls attended weekly dance classes while the other half didn't. Now, the results showed that the girls who took the dance classes had improvements in their mental health and even reported a boost in their mood. These positive effects lasted up to 8 months after the classes ended. So researchers concluded that dance can result in a positive experience and even lead to sustained healthy habits. Now, how does our brain react to dance? Studies using PET imaging have identified regions of the brain that contribute to dance learning and performance. These regions include the motor cortex, somatosensory cortex, basal ganglia, and cerebellum. Now, the motor cortex is involved in the planning, control, and execution of voluntary movement. The somatosensory cortex, located in the mid-region of the brain, is responsible for motor control and hand-eye coordination. The basal ganglia, a group of structures located deep in the brain, works with other brain regions to smoothly coordinate movement, while the cerebellum integrates input from the brain and spinal cord and helps in planning fine and complex motor actions. Now, as we know, to create a change in society is not easy, but what I believe is that we can use dance and even music as a medium to create a change. For me, this medium is obviously dance. Now, through the medium of dance, I've been able to educate myself more on mental illnesses, but I've also been able to create stories. Create these stories that narrate the struggles that people go through with their mental health. But first, let's start off with a dance piece that all Bharatanatyam dancers would have learned, Varnam. Swamini by Sri Papanasam Sivan. It is a dance piece that is dedicated to the god Muruga. So listen to this line. Swamini manamirangi arultama taye nidhiye Muruga kuga. This is the first line that is sung in this Varnam. It is essentially asking the god to have pity and to give blessings. Now, as the song continues, listeners learn that this dance piece is actually about a young girl who has fallen madly in love with Lord Muruga, and she misses him. While watching this Varnam, the majority of us would simply see this love she has for him and how that causes her pain. That's what I saw at first too. But then I decided to dig deeper, and when I did, I was able to see a whole different angle. I was able to see that same young girl struggling to survive and face loneliness, which ultimately weakens her mental health. Pumel valve vermbeneni nendal, puve manam nondale. She believed that her life on earth was pointless, and she was left broken by this. Now, with understanding each word, I asked myself several questions. I reflected. Isn't this exactly what girls and even boys I know have experienced in high school? I recalled specific individuals claiming that their life on earth was pointless, and it was simply because a person that they cared about, or maybe even had a crush on, wasn't talking to them anymore. It made me understand and feel what a person experiences when he or she feels so little of themselves because of others and their absence. So I asked myself, how would I react? Would I also be upset over what happened and regret my own life? Or would I just take in the experience and move on? I was able to feel what it might feel like for a character to be struggling with his or her mental health. Now, you see, this Varnam allowed me to ask questions and look for answers. But it also inspired me to create these stories that narrate the struggles people go through with their mental health. So here is a real life story. There was a girl who was intelligent and beautiful. Now, she was in high school like most girls her age, except sometimes she felt a certain way. She wasn't herself. Now, sometimes she just felt so overwhelmed and tired. Maybe she just needed to rest, to get some sleep. She began to feel uninterested in the things that used to make her happy. She wasn't herself. She didn't know that she had depression or even what it was. Why? Because no one talked about it. Maybe she could have told someone how she wasn't feeling like herself, how she wasn't okay. But was there really anyone that would understand? No one would even care. She only felt like she was a burden to her mom and dad, and the only way to end this pain was to maybe put an end to herself. But wait, her story doesn't end there, because she gets help from a doctor. But it was a doctor without a stethoscope, one that didn't always have to give her needles. It was simply a person who cared, who understood and saw that something wasn't okay and wanted to help. A doctor that was finally able to diagnose her and give her treatments. You see, she would take medications, but she watched her mental health improve. Sometimes all they did was talk. She was finally able to see that she wasn't a burden, and she was finally at peace. She could go to school, and she even graduated and made it successfully to a university. So her story didn't end there because she got that help. Mental health, mana alittam, needs to be taken care of. And professionals are there to help, to assist, and to care. Which is why I believe that dance is one of the most perfect ways to bring in awareness for mental health. So here is my vision.
My vision is that we create dance pieces that reflect what teenagers go through, to create these pieces that resemble the struggles that people go through with their mental health. So, together, let's dive into mental health with dance, and together we can create dialogue and build bridges. Thank you.
Thank you, Tachini. Please remember to honor our students and their hard work through our claps. Thank you. Next up, we would like to invite Ms. Arati Caroline Alexander, a grade 11 SAEC student. Her talk is called What Happens When Tragedy Hits Home.
My family met a tragedy that I would like to share with you all because it changed the course of my life. A story that is real, a story that fuels this TED Talk. My earliest memory of him was special. He was a soft-spoken and reserved person, but he was always there. He didn't need to talk, but we always knew he'd be there, sitting on the sofa, listening to our conversations. You see, here we were with kids. We were able to have never-ending conversations about the most random topics. We would go into his room and play on the mini basketball net that hung on the wall. I could still vividly remember the memories of my younger brothers arguing about who'd go next, while the rest of us were laughing till we have tears in our eyes and we could barely breathe. He was always there whenever someone needed him. When my grandma needed to be taken to doctor appointments, he'd be the first person to say yes, and he'd take her. But as time passed, there was a difference in his behavior. And we all knew he was there, but we failed to help him through it. We didn't show him that we were here for him, and he was left to fight through something so terrifying all alone. At first, it was shock for me. I was well aware of mental illness, just never imagined my gigantic, tight-knit family going through it. It never occurred to me how it would feel when my family was hit with a tragedy, or even how we would cope with it. But through my eyes, it was like a whole bunch of emotions was unraveled by everyone, all at once. Silence. That was the result of this tragedy. Silence consumed every person in that funeral home. Every person that came to commemorate him was just silent. This silence was filled with blame. They blamed him and questioned his actions, which made them the victims. This fueled my anger. How on earth are we the victims? Was he not the victim? And yet we have the audacity to blame everything on him. So as silence turns into blame, there is one voice that is never heard, the voice of mental illness. No one mentioned anything about mental illness while I was at his funeral, except when finally his sister honored his story by mentioning a word that was new to me: schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is a long-term mental disorder leading to false perception, withdrawal from reality and personal relationships into fantasy and delusions. Now imagine hearing these voices in your head. These voices are telling you to do things you've never thought of before. Imagine feeling like you're not in control of both your mind and body. Imagine seeing your worst nightmares not in your sleep, but in your everyday lives. Everywhere you go, you can feel it and see it. Now we can try to imagine, but we will ultimately never know how it truly feels to experience such horrific feelings. But victims with schizophrenia do. Now, it was unknown to us that he was fighting this disease, but there were obvious clues that we failed to take action upon. We pushed him away out of fear of not knowing what he was going through and not knowing how to handle the situation because my family was uneducated on the topic of mental illness itself. Tragically, we lost him, and that was when everything changed. A new door opened and we all stepped in not knowing what to expect. They all just stood there thinking that what he did was taboo, that it's a forbidden topic that we shouldn't talk about. But it's not. We should talk about it. We have to talk about it. The number of people going through mental illness is increasing, especially in our generation. Our own family members might be fighting this war within themselves, and we might not know. And not talking about it is not the solution. It does nothing. So as an individual who's been hit by this tragedy, I would like to share with you my solution and how I'm learning to deal with it. Number 1, discovering your emotions. For me, my first emotion was extreme shock, which then turned into immediate denial. My family refused to believe that it was true, that he was fighting this war within himself for over 10 years until he finally passed. And then it was guilt. We did not do anything to help him when we noticed the changes and felt the differences. Number 2, research, research, research. Now that I'm aware of my emotions, the next step is to research thoroughly and carefully, and to become aware of the things that I don't know. I did not know anything about schizophrenia, so I began to research. Article after article, video after video, I began to listen to professionals speaking about the disorder, as well as patients. I found out that over 23 million people around the world are affected by this disease. Number 3, creating a safe gathering space. Once I was aware of my emotions, once I was aware about the disorder, my older cousins and I decided to create a safe gathering space for my first and second younger cousins. Seems daunting, I know. But it really wasn't. It required a lot of time and preparation, but at the end, the safe gathering space was one of the best experiences I've ever had. At first, my older cousins and I FaceTimed with each other, and we began to take notes of what each of us were responsible for. I was responsible for social media and the effects of not being safe on it, the do's and the don'ts. My older cousins were focusing on future career choices and mental illness. Now we all sat in my room, my older cousin and I, facing 2 different corners of the wall, while the other 2 were facing us through the phones. And we helped each other gather as much facts and knowledge as possible. We then called and invited all my cousins to attend the gathering space on a Friday evening at my aunt's house. There, we got comfortable with each other. And to start off the gathering, we went around asking each individual what they wanted to be when they grew up. Now this was connected to our first topic, which is future career choices and how to prepare for it. Our second topic was social media and how to use it safely. Lastly, we discussed about mental illness and what it was, how it could affect a person, the symptoms, and how people deal with it. During the discussion, seeing my cousins be comfortable with sharing their own stories and their own knowledge about the topic filled my heart with happiness and accomplishment. Because this is what we wanted. We wanted them to gain extra knowledge, but also build a bond with each other and ourselves so that we feel protected and comfortable with each other. I realize this is something that we have to do because it creates a huge impact on the kids and even myself. This overall experience was an emotional one, and an experience that I hope no one has to ever go through. But the reality is, the first step towards change is awareness. And in order to create that awareness and reduce stigma, families must do the following steps genuinely. Step number 1, research. Be aware of the things that are happening around you, at your school and in the community. Step number 2, create a safe gathering space for your families or family to get together on a regular basis. It could be every 6 months, monthly or weekly, as frequently as you want, but make sure you have one. Because not only does it help families get closer, but it also allows children and adults to have someone to talk to. So let's create those safe spaces this month in your homes. Because mental illness is real, and it is hidden by many. So please, don't wait until a tragedy hits home. because by then, it might be too late. Thank you.
Please give a round of applause for Arati. At this time, we'll be showing you a very important video from all the way from UK. It has very special messages, so please listen carefully.
அனைவருக்கும் வணக்கம் இஷுபோய் MCSAI இந்த வீடியோ முக்கியமாக பேரண்ட்ஸுக்கு கண்டபடியாக எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். உங்களில் பல பேருக்கு என்ன தெரிஞ்சிருக்காது. என் பேர் வந்து சாய், அதாவது வந்து MC சாய். நான் வந்து ஒரு சொல்லிசை கலைஞர், அதாவது இண்டிபெண்ட் மியூசிக் இண்டஸ்ட்ரியில் ஒரு 13 வருஷமாக நான் வந்து செஞ்சிட்ருக்கிறேன். When the team reached out to me saying we're trying to create awareness for mental health issues and specifically between the parents, I felt that I was very directly connected with it. நான் ஏன் இது சொல்கிறேன்டா, நான் வந்து 13 வருஷமாக மியூசிக் செஞ்சு இருந்தாலும் வெளி உலகத்துக்கு நான் வந்து ஒரு சந்தோஷமாக ஹாப்பியாக இருக்கிற ஒரு நபராக தெரிந்தாலும் எனக்குள்ள 1000 போர்க்களம், வீட்டுக்குள்ளே 1000 பிரச்சனை, இந்த மண்டைக்குள்ளே ஒரு லட்சக்கணக்கான பிரச்சனை ஓடிட்டுருக்கு. ஆனால் வந்து வெளி உலகத்துக்கு அதை நான் காட்டுறே இல்லை. ஸோ நான் பர்சனலாகவே ஆக்சுவலி வந்து மென்டல் ஹெல்த் இஷ்யூவால் பாதிக்கப்பட்ட ஒரு ஆள் என்ற பட்சத்தில் நான் உங்களுக்கு ஒரு சில விஷயத்தை நான் ஷேர் பண்ணிக்கொள்ள விரும்புகிறேன். என்னென்னு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா, ஐ திங்க் நான் வந்து முதல் மென்டல் ஹெல்த் இஷ்யூஸ் இருக்குன்னு உண்மையிலே எனக்கு தெரியாது. பல வருஷமாக கணக்கு விஷயங்கள் என் கையில் ஒரு 10 விஷயம் செஞ்சு கொண்டிருப்பேன் அட் அ டைம். செஞ்சு நான் ஐ ஸ்டார்டட் லூசிங் மை செல்ஃப். எடுத்ததுக்கெல்லாம் கோவப்பட தொடங்குறது. நான் ஒரு நாள் வந்து ஒரு 10 ப்ராஜெக்ட் செய்ய தொடங்குவேன். எல்லாத்துலேயுமே ஆர்வமாக இருப்பேன், உற்சாகமாக இருப்பேன். பிறகு 2 நாள் கழித்து பார்க்க போனால் அந்த 10 ப்ராஜெக்டில் ஒரு ப்ராஜெக்டையும் தொட மனம் வராது, மனசில் வந்து தெம்பு இருக்காது. அது தொட்டாலே என்னால் செய்ய முடியாதுன்ற ஒரு நிலைமைக்கு நான் நிற்பேன். ஆனால் காலப்போக்கில் நான் என்ன நினச்சேன்டா, இது நேச்சுரல், இதுதான் நான், என்னால் வந்து எனக்கு இயல்பாக இது ஒரு வர்ற விஷயம்னு நான் நினச்சிட்டு இருந்தேன். ஆனால் போக நான் யோசிக்க தொடங்கினேன், ஆக்சுவலி இது கொஞ்சம் வேறு மாதிரி இருக்குது, மேபி இது ஒரு பிரச்சனையாக இருக்கலாம். ஸோ அம்மாவோட காய்ச்சிட்டு இருக்கும்போது அம்மா சொன்னேன், இப்படி நான் டிப்ரெஸ்டாக இருக்கணும் இல்லையோ எனக்கு தெரியாது என்று சொன்னால், எங்கட அம்மாண்ட ரிப்ளை என்னென்னா, உனக்கு லூஸாக அங்கே டிப்ரெஷன் அங்கே ஒன்றும் இல்லை அது இதுன்னு சொல்லி விட்டுட்டா. அவள் வந்து 2 காரணத்துக்காக அதை என்னட்டு சொன்னான். ஒரு காரணம் என்னென்னா, அவள் வந்து எந்த மனநிலை பாதிக்கப்படக்கூடாதுன்ற காரணத்துக்காக, இல்லை உனக்கு ஒரு பிரச்சனையும் இல்லை, லூஸா நீ இப்படி காய்ச்சி கொண்டு இருக்காது அதுன்னு சொல்லிட்டு விட்டுட்டா. 2வது என்னென்னா, அவൾക്ക് வந்து ஆக்சுவலி இந்த பிரச்சனைன்ற ஆழமான ப்ராப்ளம்ஸ் வந்து தெரியாது. அவைகளுக்கு சொல்லி கொடுக்கல ஒருத்தரும், அதனால் அவைகளுக்கு தெரியாது. அது அவையோட குற்றம்னு நான் சொல்ல வரையில், என்ன பிரச்சனைன்னா அவைகளுக்கு அந்த அவேர்னஸ் இல்லை. எங்களோட சமுதாயத்தில் வந்து உண்மையிலேயே இந்த மென்டல் இஷ்யூஸ்ன்ற விஷயங்கள் வந்து ஒருத்தரும் பகிர்ந்து கொள்ளாதபடியாக, ஒருத்தருமே வந்து சரியான விளப்பமும் இல்லை. அது சஃபர் பண்ணுற ஒரு நபர் வந்து என்ன விஷயங்களை சந்திக்கிறார், எவ்வளோ கஷ்டம் அவரோட வாழ்க்கைன்றது ஒருத்தருமே வந்து உணர்றே இல்லை. ஒரு 7 வருஷத்துக்கு பிறகு நான் என் ஜிபியை பார்க்க போனேன். இப்படி எனக்கு இப்படி சோன் இஷ்யூ உண்டு. அப்போ ஜிபி எனக்கு திரும்பி சொன்ன விஷயம் வந்து, நீ வந்து borderline bipolar disorder or you're heavily stressed and சொல்லிச்சுனா. So then I started going to therapy. So I'm not actually bipolar, but I was borderline. அப்போ நான் தெரப்பிக்கெல்லாம் போயிட்டு விட்டு வந்து சொன்னேன், உங்களுக்கு தெரியுமோ எனக்கு வந்து இப்படி I'm heavily stressed, I'm borderline bipolar. Again my mom's reply was, அங்கே ஒன்றுமே இல்லை, உனக்கு நீ எடுத்ததுக்கெல்லாம் கோவப்படுற, நீ அதான் உண்ட பிரச்சனை, உனக்கு அங்கே ஒரு பிரச்சனையும் இல்லைன்னு எங்கள் அம்மா எனக்கு சொல்கிறேன். திருப்பவும் எங்கள் அம்மாவுக்கு வந்து விஷயம் விளங்க இல்லை. கடைசியில் நான் டாக்டருக்கும் போய் இந்த கதை சொல்லிட்டேன், பட் அவருக்கு விஷயம் விளங்க இல்லை. காரணம் வந்து விளப்பம் இல்லை. ஸோ இப்படி ஒரு சில விஷயங்கள் நான் பர்சனலாக சந்திச்சிருக்கேன். டு all the kids and youngsters or even adults that are facing similar problems, you are going to be hurt, and the parents are starting to slowly understand. காலம் தன் கடமை செய்யும். ஒரு சிலர் வந்து இப்போவே உணர்ந்து கொண்டுட்டினா, அது சூன் போகிற போக்கில் வந்து with teams like you guys, hopefully everyone will understand what mental health issues are. My well wishes to all of you. Don't struggle, don't stress, try not to stress anyway. We're all out here to win, and we'll all make sure we all win at one time. And sorry about me filming this video in my room. A lot of you guys will probably find sanctuary in your room. So that's what I did. So hope that helped. Parents எல்லாருக்கும் ஒரு முக்கிய வேண்டுகோள், முடிஞ்ச அளவுக்கு உங்களோட பிள்ளைகளை சப்போர்ட் பண்ணுங்கள். உங்களுக்கு அந்த விஷயம் தெரியாட்டிக்கு வெளியில் போய் கேட்டு ஒரு சிலர்கிட்ட அறிஞ்சு நீங்கள் வந்து உங்களோட பிள்ளைகளோட கதைங்க. ஏனெண்டா கதைச்சா தான் எதுவுமே சரியாக இருக்கும். நான் வந்து கனகாலம் வந்து இந்த மனசு திறக்காமல் கதைக்காமல் இருந்ததாலே கஷ்டம் வந்து கூடவா இருந்துச்சு. லேடிஸ் அண்ட் ஜென்டில்மேன், உங்களிடமிருந்து விடைபெறுவது இஸ் யோர் பாய் MCSAI. One love, one nation. Peace.
We would like to thank MC Sai for this video. Next up, we would like to invite a special spoken words performance.
அடுத்தவங்கிட்ட எல்லாம் இப்படிதான் என் பிள்ளையர் பார்த்து நடக்கிறாங்க. Stop being lazy.
He was acting so mental in gym class.
Yeah, I was getting anxiety watching him play.
Your room is so messy, it's crazy.
Well then, I guess you have OCD. We have so much homework. I'm so done with life.
I know, right? I'm so triggered.
I'm finally awake to tell the truth of my heartbreak. What if I tell you I'm fake? That I'm two-faced. The person you knew wasn't me. I'm a girl who isn't free. The real me wants to flee, but I was trapped and I'm free to go free. The girl you knew is brave, but I'm engraved. Too scared to go, unprepared, but still dare to go face the world of reality, but without the real me. She's stuck with me, my other self, like my shield, protector. Because I live in fear, my insecurities control me. But my other self, it thrives to take control. But I try to show the real me. But I don't know if I can try any longer.
Hey, are you okay? Me? Yeah. Are you okay? There's something on your shirt. It's okay. We all have those moments.
He was acting so mental in gym class. 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 Stop! I know you've been falling, but it's time to claw back up. Your life isn't worth death. It deserves over 1,000 breaths. You are worth my time. Your life is full of hope. You may have hit rock bottom. That's a perfect place to start. At times might be difficult, and life may not be livable, but don't lose your faith. Your hope is just hard to find. The girl I know isn't a sinner. She's a winner, a conqueror of nothing to fear, an avatar of courage, standing united, hand in hand on the frontier and fighting back, facing a reality where we are here for her. Nothing can ever be a blur. Nothing can ever harm her. She's her own knight in shining armor. The end is not near. Hope will let you rise, soaring through the skies like a baby bird, leaving a mare's nest. Don't give it up. Don't let go of hope. Because there is no last hope. There is no reason to be sad. Think of all the memories you've had, vicious good and bad. And times he ended up boring for laughing. Remember that? Because I did. Think of all your accomplishments because they compliment who you truly are. You have more to live for. You are not alone fighting this war. Your life is worth more. So it is time to get up from the floor. Start climbing the mountains, break through the filters, strive past the raging rivers. You can do it because we believe in you. We are here for you. We will help you.
Through this presentation, our message to the community is to carefully use words connected to mental health. Labels can hurt those you never imagined. Labels can interfere with recovery. Labels can leave an everlasting imprint. Parents, friends, and families, please use words wisely. Thank you.
The next talk this evening is by Mr. Sajan Jagannathan and Mr. Vishwa Jivaraja. Their talk is titled Fortnite Battle Royale, a new perspective on the world of gaming. This talk will uniquely connect Fortnite to mental health.
Survival. We're surviving every minute of every hour of every day. That is part of human evolution. We must survive in order to evolve as a species. Remember The Hunger Games? It was a movie about survival. The main character, Katniss Everdeen, along with 23 other participants, had to survive in the most difficult of situations. Of course, the last person standing would be the ultimate winner. When this trilogy of novels and movies came out, everybody praised the concept of survival it showed. From details, character development, visual graphics, and the weapons and tools that were used, everything was praised.
Now, what if we told you that both of us were similar to Katniss? You see, it starts with our choice of skin, or pickaxe. We carefully choose and wear them, ready to battle in an intense game of survival. With 99 other players, we finally enter our survival arena. It's an island with vivid visual graphics, unique weapons scattered all over, and diverse biomes everywhere you go. This is where we will be launched to survive and be the last player standing. This game is called Fortnite Battle Royale. Yes, this is the game you may have seen your children play, and yes, we're going to talk about it. Did you know that, as of August 2018, Fortnite has accumulated a total of 140 million players worldwide and counting since its initial release just over a year ago? As you can see, here's a graph from SuperData Research Holdings. It displays data from a video game live streaming service called Twitch. From September 2017 to May 2018, Fortnite's monthly viewership, in comparison to popular video games like League of Legends and many others, has grown exponentially. In the month of August alone, nearly 80 million players logged on to play Fortnite across all 7 platforms it is currently available on. This includes PC, Mac, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, Apple, and even Android devices. As well, given that the game is completely free, this makes it available to virtually anyone. With such a strong player count like this, much larger than any other video game before, Fortnite is certainly here to stay and grow.
So who are we? My name is Sajjan, and this is Vishwa. We are grade 11 students who earned our spots in the honor roll since grade 9. Why are we telling you this? Because we are also experienced Fortnite players since December of 2017.
We know we just broke the stereotype that many of you in the audience may strongly believe, which is that students who play video games like Fortnite are unsuccessful in their academics and their social life.
But we understand where you're coming from. We know how the media has misled you to think of Fortnite as a horrible game. But we are here to challenge this notion. We are proposing the idea that Fortnite Battle Royale has the ability to help cope with mental health.
Now let's take a look at what happened this year that changes the course of how we will be analyzing Fortnite. The World Health Organization announced in January of 2018 that gaming disorder is a mental health condition. According to the 11th revision of the International Classification of Diseases, here are the symptoms of gaming disorder.
The victim has trouble controlling his or her gaming. The victim continues to game instead of taking part in other social activities, and the victim continues to game despite the consequences.
To be diagnosed with gaming disorder, the behavioral patterns must have been taking place for a minimum of 12 months. There must also be a severity in the lack of family, social, occupational, educational, or other important areas of functioning.
Now, it's important to note that we do agree. Addiction in all of its forms is serious and should be properly treated. Our problem lies in the wording of the document. It is far too generalized for us gamers to recognize it as a real disorder. This can lead to misdiagnosis and be open for interpretation.
Dr. Anthony Bean, psychologist and author of Working with Video Gamers in Games and Therapy, explained that when we treat gaming as a behavioral disorder, many underlying factors go ignored. For example, what happens to those gamers who may be using video games as a way to cope with their mental health issues, or anxiety, or mood disorders? How about enthusiasts and motivated gamers like us? If gaming is a hobby or a career choice, would it still be considered a mental illness since it satisfies the 3 symptoms mentioned by the document? Where are the specifics?
By generalizing, we ignore certain groups of people. Video games have helped many people cope with mental health, yet we rarely talk about it. In fact, it is never brought up in media discussions. You may even wonder, what is the connection between video games like Fortnite and mental health? Well, first, it helps reduce the monologues that take place inside our head.
Video game producer Johnny Chiodini explained that video games helped him when he felt like anxiety or depression overwhelmed him. He explained that the virtual world helped stop his internal monologue from having such a prominent place inside his brain. This is coming from someone who helped produce the Gears of War series, which is known to be a far more mature and gory video game in comparison to Fortnite.
An American psychologist, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, developed the flow theory. This is the state of mind where a person is completely immersed in a task. For flow to be activated, a person must be engaged in a doable task, should be able to focus, has a clear goal, receives immediate feedback, moves without worry, has a sense of control, loses self-consciousness, and loses sense of time. Many players feel flow while playing Fortnite. For example, they have the clear goal of winning the game, they receive immediate feedback by earning rewards in-game for playing, they move without worry because there are no internal dialogues affecting the player's concentration, and they have a sense of control because they make decisions that affect the character's fate. However, it is true. Flow can cause obsessive behavior towards a task. For example, players may lose self-consciousness. They may not realize they are hungry until they stop playing. However, self-consciousness is lost during meditation, and that has beneficial effects. And lastly, players lose a sense of time. But like the saying goes, time flies when you're having fun.
The benefits are there, but so are the parental fears about any video game. So how can parents allow their children to be a part of the Fortnite experience, but ensure it doesn't lead to obsession or an addictive behavior? So here's our solution, especially after knowing that video games can help young people with their mental health.
This idea works, and I am an example of it. It starts with something as simple as time restrictions. Parents, this is your job. If you start from the beginning, your child will be able to understand they have an allotted time slot to play. Here's my schedule. From Monday to Thursday, I have 1 hour to play. On Friday, it is extended to 3 hours, while on Saturday and Sunday, it's 4 hours. My parents can see and track the amount of time I play with time restrictions that can be placed on any Fortnite platform, even mobile.
Time restrictions would prevent your child from playing video games for excessive hours. This means they can play enough to experience the benefits of video games, but not enough to be hindered by it. So, instead of thinking of Fortnite as the end-all be-all for your child's academic success, think of it as a gateway for them to cope with their mental health. After all, it is a lesson of survival. Isn't that part of human evolution? Thank you.
Thank you, Sajan and Vishwa. The next talk this evening is by Ms. Satvika Selvakumar, called Texting Can Save a Life.
Ever heard that sound before? Well, I heard it over and over again. So I picked up my phone, and the messages I saw were something very hard to read. And I remember every part of me not knowing what to do and how to respond. What did I read? Here, see it with me. Help! I want to hurt myself. I want to leave. What did I do? Why me? Messages like these are what I read. Shock after shock, this person told me that they were experiencing trauma after trauma in life. Panic mode was my immediate response. You see, I'm a person aware of mental health as we've been exploring it in SAC for several months now. But this, I was not expecting. I was not expecting the trigger words to be the actual words that appear on my phone as the form of a text. I told myself to calm down, but you can imagine, I was not calm at all. I was able to feel that this person told me that this person needed me to say the right words, but I began to worry what those words would look like. Should I say, oh wow, that is a lot all at once? Or should I say, don't be silly, that's not bad? I didn't know. That was when I actually knew I didn't know much about anything in this topic. So then I decided to call a friend I trust, a friend to me who's like a counselor, someone who's older than me, and someone who knows what to say and do. I knew she would be there to help and guide me, but she was at work. Panic filled the room even more. I was left to text this person all by myself. Then I decided to do the next obvious thing. Google and YouTube. Little did I know I'd discover a whole new world between texting and mental health. So I searched up several starting phrases on Google and found the following options on their search bar. High school's hell, high school's pointless, and high school's nothing like the movies. Now, what do all these have in common? School and student life is tough. In 2014, an article came out that Toronto District School Board, the largest in Canada, was aware of 700 self-harm attempts made by the students during that school year. Similarly, another survey by the Center for Addiction and Mental Health reported elevated level of psychological distress. To add on, a recent project by the Globe and Mail looked into the attitudes and habits of grade 12 students. The results was that students are worried about marks, but also future student debt, job markets, and feeling overwhelmed by the demands of social media. The study even shows that grade 12s are feeling unsafe in a world of bombings, shootings, and attacks on innocent civilians. And there's one important finding. Loneliness and being isolated is a common criteria that leads young people to even consider hurting themselves. Now, let's see what young people connect to the most. According to Stats Canada's survey in 2016, 76% of Canadians own a smartphone. 94% of that were owned by 15 to 34-year-olds, along with 69% of 55 to 64-year-olds, and 18% of those 75 years and older. Now, look at this data. It is quite obvious that the younger audiences are message agnostic, using a variety of ways to communicate via their mobile devices. About 100% of youth from 15 to 24 use the internet on a daily basis or even own their own phones, which is not affected by where they are from and what their household income is. According to Vanier Institute of the Family, ownership of cell phones and smartphones are as follows. 24% of students in grade 4, 52% of students in grade 7, and 85% of students in grade 11. More than 1/3 of students say they even sleep with their phones just in case they get a call or a message during the night. Interestingly, 1/5 of grade 4s report that they do the same. After knowing how prevalent phones are in our lives and how texting is a more comfortable way teenagers communicate, it makes sense to have an innovative idea like Crisis Text Line, a nonprofit organization that provides 24/7 counseling through texting. It uses complex data analysis to predict how serious the condition is based on text received. Now, I like to think of it like how our hospitals are organized. When we go to Trillium or any emergency room, what happens?
Well, we go through a chain of different lineups in order for the nurses to determine which patients need to be checked first. Specifically, patients with a serious heart condition need to be checked first due to their seriousness of their symptoms. A similar system takes place when a person texts crisis text line. An algorithm is put together for those in crisis to get immediate help fast. Initially, this wasn't the case. In 2013, when the program started, the method was tedious and long. Counselors had to read every single message and make an on-the-spot decision on who gets immediate intervention. This is when Nancy Lublin and Bob Philbin, the chief data scientist and the co-founder of Crisis Text Line, came up with a solution. They, along with their team, put together an algorithm using their knowledge of psychology, data collection, reporting, and analysis to make sure data leads to strategic actions. So what happens when a person texts 686868? Number one, the texter is added to the queue the moment his or her first message is sent. Then they wait to be connected with the counselor. Number two, the counselor engages in a conversation to detect if the texter is at any immediate risk of hurting themselves. If the texter expresses hurting themselves, they tend to have a specific plan and has the materials or the space to carry out the plan and has a time frame. If the time frame is 24 hours or less, it is deemed as a texter who's at imminent risk. This is when the counselors try to de-escalate the situation. Number three, if of course the counselors feel like the texter would carry out the plan, emergency services will be contacted. Now, I know what you're thinking. This is a wonderful service, but isn't it American? Yes, it is. Well, thankfully, Canada has been seeing its benefits, and Kids Health Phone, the only nationwide counseling and support service for youth in Canada, has partnered with U.S. Crisis Text Line to provide for the first ever free texting service. How exciting! But there are steps that take place before it becomes a nationwide medium. We are still going through the process. On February 16, 2018, a test trial took place in Manitoba. The press release about this can be seen here. As of August 30th, 2018, University of Guelph students now have access to the new crisis text line powered by Kids Health Phone. This free service offers immediate support to all University of Guelph students by text message with the Kids Health Phone volunteer crisis responder. It has expanded to many provinces and territories. On November 7th, 2018, service's national launch took place all over Canada. We have a lot to thank Catherine A., the Kids Health Phone president and CEO. In Canada, we have been a great leader in mental health safe space, but to now be partnered with an organization that has pioneered an algorithm for texting-based counseling is a great next step. To see this image is heartwarming, especially after everything I know now. Being educated and looking into the new exciting Canadian project has made me become a wiser texter. It has also made me more aware of my surrounding and my peers. My conversations through texting have become more thoughtful. Like, wow, I can speak in full sentences online and not short phrases like, wow, oh, huh, aw. I wrote phrases like, thank you for sharing this with me. Is there any way I could help? As a society, let's become socially responsible of how we respond back. We all grew up with a constant lesson. Think before you talk. But as we are now in a digital world with an increase of youth suffering from mental health, a new lesson must be taught. Reread before you text. Our words matter when a friend reaches out to help. Guiding them into appropriate help is important. Mention how a crisis line is being put together, is non-judgmental, and can cope with our negative thoughts. So just remember, if there are more than 13,000 conversations with this crisis line and many teenagers who keep their thoughts to themselves are now opening up, then texting has the potential of saving a life. So let's be wise and guide people properly with words. Thank you. At this time, we would like to invite the creators of Basement Reels up on stage.
Hey everyone, how y'all feeling? Damn, this just made me nervous because these folks did a wonderful job. I'm not really good at speeches, but I'd just like to say thank you so much for this invite. It's a great honor to be here and see all of the talent that our youth has showcased. Oh man, and you're all talented. I think you're all better than me when it comes to like dance. Oh, I suck at dance, by the way. But spoken words, oh man, and your expressions, I loved it, and you too. You know, mental health is something that is very important, and we appreciate you hosting this event tonight. And you know, it's a wonderful thing to see, like, you know, artists being used to tell a lot of stories through like dance, spoken words, and other stuff. And I'll just hand the mic to my crew now.
Hello, everybody. So I don't have anything prepared, so this is off the top of my head, but thank you so much for inviting Darshan and myself here. I feel so honored to be able to watch all of you talk about mental health because it's such an important issue in my life. And for Basement Reels, we try to write stories that touch us personally, but we've never wrote a story on depression just because it's such a big issue. And we honestly didn't know how to tackle it the best way. But watching all the speakers come out here, you guys killed it. And I love the way you approach it. I love the Fortnite talk. That's such an innovative idea. And you guys inspired me to go home and write more stories, especially about such a tough topic. So thank you so much.
Yeah. We're really nervous right now. This is just overwhelming right now.
I just want to say one more thing to the parents. You should be very proud for all these students here. They're so brave to come out and tell the stories that they're doing. Thank you so much. This is great.
Okay, so whoa, the bright lights. Okay, so I want to personally thank both of them. When we called our guests, we had so many people supporting us, which is important for me and my students. But these two individuals, I must say, all of my students, I mean, you don't know how excited they are that you're standing here, but they found out you're going to leave, so they're like a little bit sad. Because if you were here during intermission, I'm pretty sure they would have all come to you. So your stories, your films are very motivational. I encourage you to please continue with all hardships I can imagine, because this took us a very long time to film and put together. So I know how difficult it is, but I highly, highly encourage you to continue because our community needs to hear a lot more stories. And if mental health can be a part of it, it would be one of our biggest wishes. So please continue to do so. Yes? Thank you so much.
And just on top of that, I do want to write something. We're going to go write something about mental health. We just didn't know how to do it. But this is for us, it's a learning experience. Seeing everyone here talk about them and how it affected them in their personal lives, because we all know someone that's been touched by mental illness, either directly or indirectly. And the fact that we're in our 20s and you guys are younger, but the fact that you guys have all experienced this personally, it's too common and it's an issue. So thank you so much.
Sorry? Oh, intermission soon? Yeah, it's going to be. Yeah? Okay. So they are going to say, wow. Thank you very much. Can I get all my dance crew to come up right now?
Stacy Dance Crew from our leadership program will be performing a special dance performance. This piece is a meaningful performance about human connection to tears and sadness. It reminds us about the importance of releasing our emotions.
I'm living, so we turn it up. Yeah, we turning it up. Ain't got no tears in my body. I ran out, but boy, I like it. I like it. I like it. Don't matter how, what, when, who tries it. We out here vibing. We vibing. We vibing. Come out, even when it's raining down. Can't stop now. Can't stop, so shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. And if you don't know, then I know it, babe. No, babe, yeah. Right now, I'm in a state of mind. I wanna be in like all the time. Ain't got no tears if I cry. So I'm picking it up, picking it up. I'm living, I'm picking it up. I just want you to come with me. We have another mentality. Ain't got no tears if I cry. So I'm picking it up.
நான் கவலையாக இருக்கும் சமயங்களில் ஓம் நமச்சிவாய என்ற மந்திரத்தை என்னால் இயன்றவரையும் கூறிக்கொண்டிருப்பேன்.
I would do when I'm sad is wash my face with cold water.
நான் கவிதை எழுதுவது என்னுடைய ஒரு வழக்கமான செயல்பாடு.
When I'm sad, I either watch my favorite YouTubers who can make me laugh or read a book.
நான் கவலையா இருந்தால் கம்ப்யூட்டர்ல ஏதாவது செய்வேன்.
When I am sad, I put on the music and dance.
கவலையா இருக்கும் போது நான் தனியாக இருக்க விரும்புவேன்.
I go to Akka and I hug her and I go to my bunny and play with her.
நான் நிறைய திங்க் பண்ணுவேன் இந்த பிரச்சனை வந்தது அந்த பிரச்சனை வந்து யோசிச்சு என்ன சோகமாயிடும்.
Dad, I scream at my pillow and cry in my bedroom.
我不高兴的时候就去走路买东西。
Dad, I sleep so I could take it off my mind.
எனக்கு கவலைக்கார விஷயம் என்னன்னு நான் யோசிச்சு அதை சால்வ் பண்ண பார்ப்பேன்.
I listen to music until I feel calm.
நான் கவலையா இருக்க புத்தகம் படிப்பேன்.
I like to play my Wii U.
நான் சோகமாக இருக்கும் பொழுது தனிமையிலிருந்து சபம் சொல்லுவேன்.
Next, we would like to invite Mr. Kevin Feng, a grade 12 SAC student. His talk is called Why is Passion Not Fostered? We will learn the connections between passion and career choice and its connection to mental health.
3.2 million. That is the total number of 12 to 19-year-olds in Canada at risk for depression. Mental illness is threatening the lives of our children, with Canada's youth suicide rate the third highest in the developed world. I wanted to know what can increase a mental illness in a child. For that, I observed some of my friends who are currently in grade 12. The reality is that as high school students, we stress a lot. In fact, currently my friends are stressing and pondering over these following questions, such as what university should I apply to? What if the program's not for me? If I'm good at math, does that mean I have to apply to math? And maybe I want to apply to business, maybe engineering, maybe law. I don't know. Wouldn't it be simply amazing if no one ever had to ask themselves these stressful questions? Well, you don't have to. In fact, you are looking at a person that has never asked himself these stressful questions. Because my future was not built in one day, just for a university application, but rather mine started when I was 3 years old. At age 3, I built many puzzles. And it was from there that I would start a slow journey that would lead to a wealth of experience. When I was in grade 4, my dad took me to my first day of robotics camp. And the minute I got there, I realized that there were a lot of kids. And the teacher asked me to go on and play with a big box filled with building blocks and Legos. I want you to imagine this with me. There were 3 other kids just like me, and we were in a classroom-like environment. Now, we all know how 9-year-olds are. At least, I know how I was. I was a hogger. I was used to having all the Lego parts to myself, not having to share. So imagine when it came down to me having to share my Lego parts with 3 other kids who wanted the exact same thing as I did. I was not happy. I would start fights, and if necessary, I would steal those Lego parts from other kids, when they weren't looking, obviously. But that's not the point of the story. So I attended these camp-like classes for the next 3 years. That means from grades 4 to 7, I was learning several skills in robotics. But now, I was a middle school kid. No more useless fights. It was time to be mature. I was really interested in robotics and Legos, so my parents decided to put me in a robotics team for competition. I competed in the first Lego League for the next 3 years, attending several competitions, going from the regional stage to the provincial stage hosted at the University of Waterloo, and eventually making it onto the world stage hosted at the University of Arkansas. And let me remind you, I was in grade 10 at this point. But now, as a grade 12 student, I'm currently mentoring and helping other robotics teams achieve similar experiences. Throughout my research, I discovered that age plays a huge role in sparking innovation, creativity, and passion. Science has stated several times that a person's decline in creative potential does not start when a person is over the age of 40. It starts around the age when a person starts school. In fact, at age 5, we are using 80% of creative potential. So now I wonder, why do we not mold passion even younger than high school? The government's solution in helping a high school student find his or her passion was through 2 things. The first being the 1999-2000 graduation requirement, which required all high school students starting in grade 9 to complete a minimum of 40 hours of community involvement. And the second being the creation of a grade 10 course called Career Studies. But were these 2 requirements the reason why I knew so confidently that my passion lies in the sciences, that I wanted to be an engineer? Did these 2 requirements help me decide that I will be applying to the University of Waterloo and McMaster for the program of mechatronics engineer? Absolutely not. It was when I was in grade 4 that I started to see professionals in the fields of science and marketing. Having had the opportunity to experience so many activities when I was younger has allowed me to gain experience, volunteerism, as well as reduce my stress about the future. Starting with community involvement is a good place to start. I spent over 300 hours doing volunteer work in a variety of fields, from summer camps to ski apprentice, which was accumulated from my middle school years. Since I was doing it from a young age, I was able to learn skills on social interactions and to network with a variety of people. This is an added bonus to my possible post-secondary and future career paths, as these can help me with my references. But the 40 hours that the Ontario government has implemented into our high school diploma, which can only be done during our high school years, has proven to be more of a disservice to us students rather than a benefit. It's like when our parents ask us to finish some chores around the house by the time to get home. And every time we would leave them to the last minute, right before they pull into the driveway. That's when we panic and do whatever we can. That's how these volunteer hours feel to us students right now. A chore that was given to us with a 4-year deadline. It is an added weight on our shoulders and made into a chore that each student must complete. Hence, it is not driven by passion, but rather by the need to complete. I explored
solutions that other provinces and countries have come up with, and I wanted to highlight 2 specific programs. I first explored Nova Scotia's O2 program. This program starts in grade 7 and aids students in creating a work-life portfolio. It helps students by introducing real-world life skills, from resume writing to job shadowing and future co-op placements. This portfolio is continued through middle school and up until the final years of high school. All of this has one goal in mind: to encourage students to have a plan, develop strong employable and personal skills, increase awareness of their own strengths and skills, and ultimately reduce their stress. The second program I looked into was Finland's basic education years, from ages 7 to 17, and how career counseling occurs. What was most unique about Finland's approach was the significant role that a counselor had in a child's life. There are individual and group-based guidance and counseling provided to students from grades 7 to 9. The goal of the counselor is to meet each student as an individual and use 76 hours of guidance and counseling during those years. They receive class discussions ranging from study skills to occupations, and parents and guardians are invited to meet with the teachers and the guidance counselors to discuss the pupil's progress and educational choices. The guidance counselor also arranges work modules and excursions to educational institutions and the world of work. Now, my idea is not to change the curriculum or to add more counselors, even though that could be something we could look into doing and researching more about. But rather, my idea is simple. We need to start early. Grades 6 and 7 is the best grade level to start discussing about work. In a study of Canadian junior and senior high school students, perceptions of the terms careers and occupations, 2 studies by Pine and Schmidt-Rotermund, found that students as young as 11 seriously consider their future careers, and occupational aspirations are formed at a very young age. This means that younger students learn about learning styles, personality types, and goal setting earlier. To this, we need to encourage students to increase their awareness of the opportunities that are available locally. So I am working with the KID Youth Leadership Program to create a tester program called the DEEP program. This program will be offered to students at SAC in grades 6, 7, and 8. DEEP stands for Diversity, Experience, Evaluation Application, and Promote Portfolio. The DEEP program that I am proposing will help students reduce their stress about the future. Stress is dangerous, and a recent mouse study shows that. When researchers introduced stress by isolating mice that were genetically at risk for mental illness, they showed that isolation caused the release of a stress hormone called cortisol. Cortisol affects levels of another brain chemical called dopamine. Changes in dopamine are seen in other mental illnesses, such as schizophrenia, depression, and other mental disorders. If this happens to a mouse, the impact is equal and greater to in a child. So my hope is that if we cultivate passion and creativity from a younger age, we won't hear questions of doubts about the future. Instead, we will have confident young leaders waiting eagerly to create a better today and a brighter tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. We would like to invite the Honorable MP Ikra Khaled, who represents the riding of Mississauga Erin Mills, who has been one of our biggest supporters. Can we please have her on stage?
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Thank you. Aren't these children great? Can we have a round of applause for them? I am very much inspired every time I come out to a Saras Academy event. I had I think it was last year, a group of students, young leaders come into my community office in Mississauga, Erin Mills, and see what governance and politics is really all about. And I'm really hoping and encouraging all of these young leaders that they will consider politics as a future career choice. I know that all of you have the talents and the capabilities to do it. I'm quite moved by the amazing topics that have been covered here today. I'm actually coming myself from a mental health awareness event that I had organized at my office, targeted towards men, older men, and the challenges that they face with physical health as well as mental health. It's a big deal. You know, I come from a first-generation immigrant family. My family, my parents and myself and my 3 brothers spent a lot of time just earning a living. Both parents work; they're out all day, and your kids, you're working hard to make sure that your kids have what they need to be able to be successful here in Canada when you come to Canada. The reason why you come to Canada is because you want your kids to be successful. You want your kids to get that education. You want them to do better, to be better than you did in your own life. And with that, we, as parents, forget about the pressure that we put on our children. We forget the pressure that we put on ourselves to ensure that we are strong for our kids. And I think the most valuable lesson that I've learned today from you is that it's okay to talk about it. It's okay to seek that support from each other. It's okay to be there for one another, and it's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel vulnerable. We're here for each other, and I really appreciate how much these students are there for each other. Again, I thank you for having me here today. I thank you for raising awareness. I thank you for really bringing light to a very important issue that is impacting Canada and Canadians, and especially our youth. And I thank all the parents that are here today for encouraging your children to participate, for pushing your children to do better and be better, and to really talk about it. It is important, and I hope that these conversations will continue in your households. On behalf of myself and our phenomenal Prime Minister, the Right Honourable Justin Trudeau, I do bring certificates of appreciation for all of our speakers today, which I would like to present to you, if that's okay. And I do have one for the organizers. Is that good? Okay, fantastic. So. Are you going to help me? Hi. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you. God, you're adorable. Thank you. So I'm going to just read them out. Akash. Varsha. Look at that, taking initiative. Vishwa. Arathi Caroline. Sathviga. Kapishan. Kevin. That's Shajini. Sajan. Sujitha. Madam. Does everybody call her madam or just the students? Ma'am. Ma'am. It's 15 years of the Saras Academic Education Center. Fantastic. Thank you. And I do have one for the whole academy. If, ma'am. Ma'am's in a rush. I do have one for the whole academy, if that's cool. Can somebody snap a picture for me? I didn't have a staff today.
We will now be giving a 15-minute intermission. Please go to the cafeteria where food and refreshments are offered. Washrooms will also be shown to you by our leaders. Thank you. Welcome back. We have a special video to show you, and it's Ms. Gayatri's.
Dear students and parents of Saras Academic Education Center, my name is Gayatri S., cake artist and owner of Addictive Treats by Gayatri. Before I get into depth about today's TED-Ed topic, mental health in the South Asian community, I'd like to give you a little bit of background about myself and extend my gratitude to your teacher and the students who have given me the opportunity to address everyone today. In 2015, a year after graduating from York University with a double major in law, I had begun my business as a hobby. The business was a second form of income to pay for my tuition and enter law school and support my family. Going between 3 jobs and school made me realize I didn't want to work for someone else, and giving back to the community on my own terms was a life goal I preferred to endeavor. It was hard for me to make a big career decision, as my mother believed in me, but she also believed in the security of a 9-to-5 job. The same year caused a lot of stress, confusion, and self-doubt within me. It was a choice between letting my business flourish or finishing school and sitting behind a desk to make my mother happy. Soon, I began to fall into a dark hole, and I realized that I was not happy working under someone else and living life on someone else's terms. That's when my mother noticed the change in me and how unhappy I became. She sat me down one day and said, "Listen, no matter what you choose to do in your life, don't do it for me. You're not here to work because you're trying to make me happy. You're working because you want to do it for yourself and only yourself. So now tell me what I can do to help." In that moment, I realized I wanted to take my business full-time and prove to everyone that it is possible to follow your dreams. 3 years later, I am here. I am established, supporting my family on my income, striving for success, trying to pave a positive path for an entrepreneurial woman. Sharing this little history with you all, I want one thing to be recognized. When it comes to mental health, how my mother approached the situation is how everyone should approach someone who is falling into a dark hole and a dangerous mindset. It is important for parents, friends, and family to understand mental health is an ongoing issue that is being treated as a taboo in our community. She learned that it's important to not attack the situation, but rather take it day by day. Asking your child if there's something you can do to help, rather than, it's not a big deal, or I don't have time for this, can make a difference. Parents should recognize their children, treat themselves as a mentor, guardian, and their first option for support. Taking 5 minutes out of your day to speak to your children can help you gain their trust and be open with you. Start slow with questions such as, how was your day? If your child is showing signs of discomfort, it's also okay to say things such as, when you're ready, you can always come talk to me. These things I've shared with you all are based on personal experiences I've had with my mother, and I'm grateful to have her as my support system. From being a woman who resonates with all students here today, I hope we can continue to keep our children, friends, and family feel like their voices are being heard. With love, Gayatri S.
This is a handwritten letter by Gayatri. Please give a round of applause for Ms. Gayatri for sharing it.
Anxiety disorders cause unexpected or unhelpful anxiety that seriously impacts people's lives, including how they think, feel, and act. Here is a poem we would like to share.
Mind, body, anxiety. I know that the sun shines above me, but the warmth fades before reaching my face. I know that the breeze swirls around me, but the air withers before entering my lungs. My mind is telling me not to lose hope.
And that there will be an end to the fear, and that anxiety will fade to the past, and that nothing has been changed. My body is telling me that there is no hope. My hands shake, there will be an end to the fear. My eyes blur. The anxiety will never fade into the past. My heart pounds. Nothing has been changed. I know that the music floats towards me, but the harmony dies before reaching my ears. I know that love flows through me.
But the kindness chills before reaching my heart. My mind is telling me not to be anxious, that the anxiety does not have to control me, and that there is no reason to be so overwhelming, and that I am loved and supported.
My body is telling me that I'll always be anxious, and that anxiety will always be in control of me, and that everything will be so overwhelming, and that I'm loved and supported by myself. Anxiety flows through my mind and body.
Never resting, never stopping. Stress holds tightly to my emotions and my thoughts. Never relaxing, never fading. My mind is telling me to confront my anxiety, that I should not make decisions based on fear.
That my feelings do not have to be ruled by what ifs, and that the anxiety does not define me. My body is telling me to accept my anxiety, that my decisions do not have to be based on fear, and that the what ifs protect my feelings.
And that my anxiety and I are one and the same. Anxiety resides in my heart and soul, always present and always painful. Stress remains in my present and future, always impacting and always affecting.
My mind is telling me that I can refuse my anxiety disorder, that it does not have to impact whom I love, that it does not have to tell me what to do, and that it does not have to change who I am.
My body's telling me that I am my anxiety disorder, that it will always impact who I love, that it will always tell me what to do, that my anxiety disorder is who I am, and we will forever be one and the same.
This battle between
Mind, body,
anxiety is hard. Anxiety is a part of me, but it does not define me. Try to understand.
Thank you. Next, we would like to invite Ms. Varsha Vijayaraja and Mr. Akash Sarvanyanam. The title of their TED Talk is Why is Ugly Not Beautiful? We will discover the connection between self-esteem, body image, and mental health.
These two pictures in front of you today have opened the groundwork for research and study for the past 6 months. So let's start with an experiment that we did with 23 other students. So I'm going to ask you a question. Which one of these two images do you believe is beautiful? I'll give you a second to think about it. Now, let me ask you another question. Which one of these two images do you believe is beautiful? I'll give you another second to think about it. Now let me ask you one last question. Did you at all consider both of these beautiful? This same experiment we did with 3 other classes consisting grades 6, 7s, and 8s. And here's what we found. We found that for the first image I showed you, for the both versions of Shrek, 73% chose A, while only 27% chose B. And for the second image I showed you, for the both versions of Fiona, 78% chose A, while only 22% chose B.
So we got a group of grade 8s to come in and observe the fine details of both images. What we found was that they preferred image A over image B, because in image A, the character had a stronger jaw and seemed more fit, whereas in image B, the character seemed more alienated due to his green skin tone. We did the same thing with Fiona, and what we found was that they preferred image A again, because in image A, she seemed slimmer, more princess-like, and thus more beautiful.
And the grade 6s predominantly chose image A over image B. But when asked why they chose the way they did, they couldn't really extend their reasoning. I remember one student said they did eeny, meeny, miny, mo to pick because they couldn't choose. Only when forced to look at the differences, they were able to extend their answers.
So what we learned from this was that the older children were able to pinpoint the differences between both pictures rather easily, whereas the younger children had a harder time. The younger children even mentioned that since Fiona was smiling in image B, she may have seemed more happier and more beautiful. This told us that younger children associate beauty with feelings such as happiness, and older children associate beauty with physical features.
So we started off by looking at the word beauty itself. The dictionary definition of beauty is a combination of qualities such as shape, color, and form that pleases the aesthetic senses, especially sight. So these definitions of beauty is changing every day. It's being altered by advertisements and mainstream media. Online advertisements alone has increased because of the new social media platforms that have been available, such as Snapchat and Instagram.
So as of 2017, Instagram has about 800 million users and 2 million monthly advertisers. Of these advertisers, the ones who target beauty often showcase models who are perfect in shape, structure, and size. Now, when viewing these models, we begin to create a false criteria for what beauty should be. An anonymous CNN correspondent said that girls and women feel like their bodies aren't good enough as people add filters and edit photos in order to look perfect. Evan Katz-Ross, an editor from the Men's Health article, even said that the more you scroll through Instagram, the worse you feel. This brought us to the question about where you can see trends and how they evolve over time.
To find the answer to this question, we looked at some big trends and tracked it back to the person who started it. First, we looked at the big lip trend. Now, this was quite a popular trend back in 2016. So, where did it come from? Well, we did some research and discovered that it was inspired by Kylie Jenner's full lip look and the hashtag Kylie Jenner Full Lip Challenge. For this challenge, fans placed their mouths in a shot glass or a water bottle and blew inwards in order to increase the size of their lips to get that Kylie Jenner full lip look. And this challenge eventually evolved into a viral trend that has now about 46,300 post under the hashtag. Now, initially, we were both shocked that this could even potentially be a trend, but knowing that someone as big as Kylie inspired it made us think otherwise. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with big lips. I mean, they are beautiful. But my question is, what's wrong with small ones? See, this trend made some girls feel uncomfortable and even insecure about their own lips. I know this because I saw some of my friends go through it. And this is yet another thing that's being added to the female definition of beauty today. It's yet another thing that we are expected to follow.
So how about men? Do we have insecurities? Well, from personal experience, I can say yes, we do. As a 7-year-old child going to the beach, I had expected nothing more than to have a great time. But when I got there, I felt insecure about myself. I felt like people judged me for my appearance, and I felt like I wasn't welcomed at the beach. Well, how did I know that appearances mattered if no one told me? Remember, I was only 7, right? Why did I feel like I was not welcomed at the beach? And better yet, who influenced me to think this way? Well, the answer is simple. You and I are the reasons for why children today value beauty so highly. Let me explain a little further. By exposing our uninformed kids to the supposedly perfect people on the media and on the internet, they begin to feel as if they're not normal. They begin to feel different. And that's when they start to develop insecurities. So now let's relate this to some trends that society has put out for men. So in the 1980s, 2 men named Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone created the trend to be big and muscular. We can see remnants of that trend today in male lead actors who need to be in tip-top shape in order to play a role. For example, Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman, in his first appearance as Wolverine, seems fit, but in his more recent appearances, he's more muscular. The emphasis is more on his muscles. What this tells us is that the trend to be big and muscular has only become more prominent throughout the years. Similarly, Chris Pratt, the actor who played Star-Lord from Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, had to undergo a huge weight loss transformation. But here's the thing, unlike Wolverine, Star-Lord's powers has nothing to do with strength at all. So it's not really the portrayal of Star-Lord that requires him to lose weight, but society. Society needs him to lose weight in order to play the part of Star-Lord.
All right, so now let's look back at more female standpoints of beauty today. So, we talked about full lips. Now let's add hair, specifically speaking, body hair. So I looked at a couple of hair removal commercials on YouTube, and I realized something that I remember seeing even as a little girl. I distinctly remember these models shaving and waxing their hairless legs. Now, even though a commercial is supposed to showcase a realistic before and after of the product that's being marketed, that is not what I saw. Instead, what I saw as a 9-year-old girl still remain the norm in hair removal ads today. Girls like I did or ask themselves, is that how my legs are supposed to look like? It's sad. It really is. How we are internally conditioning these people to believe that hairless women are beautiful and ones with hair aren't. But it is important to note that some companies and people are trying to change this and incorporate different aspects of beauty into their work. Take Billy Razors, for example. This is the only company that I know of that has incorporated, wait for it, models with body hair on them in hair removal ads. Shocker. No. This should be common sense. Yet this is the only company that I have seen that's done this, which shouldn't be the case. Now this little act is so powerful as it goes to show the viewers a realistic visual of what beauty is today. And it shows the audience and the consumers that they have a choice to find beauty as they choose. From insecurity to empowerment. Now that is what beauty should be defined by.
So we talked about male beauty standards and we talked about female beauty standards. But how does the world view beauty as a whole? Well, beauty in India is about having fair skin. Beauty in Japan is about being thinner. Beauty in third world countries is about being thicker to represent good wealth and good health. You see, beauty isn't consistent. It's actually inconsistent. And as long as we identify ourselves by the unclear scales of beauty, we will forever be unsatisfied.
See, these bodies and standards are unrealistic, yet the youth of today are thrown with these expectations by society and everyone around them. See, there was a survey measuring people's experiences based on appearances related to social pressure. And the results demonstrated that the young ones of today are very concerned with how they appear, specifically 30.7%. Now, clearly, there's a strong appearance-related social pressure that's put on these kids through parents and peers. And the youth that are shown affected in these areas are shown with more behavioral and emotional problems.
So with the youth being affected by this, it can have a detrimental impact on their mental image and can even cause eating disorders. Eating disorders are important because they can cause a myriad of problems such as organ failure, organ damage, electrolyte imbalances, malnutrition, you name it. But most of all, it has the highest mortality rate out of any mental illness, including depression.
So why are we telling you all this? What exactly is our solution? Well, before I get to that, let me tell you a little story. See, when I was in elementary school, I had a very cultural-based style. My mom dressed me up in two little pigtails and matching clothing, and I wore a bindi to school every day. But that wasn't seen as something normal back then. So of course, I was called names such as weird, brown, and ugly. It was a tough time, it really was. But then things started to change as I entered middle school. I began to let my hair out and keep up to date with few trends. And suddenly I heard a word that I've never heard before. I heard the word beautiful. Now this came as a shock to me because this is not what I heard before at all. It made me realize that I was never ugly. I was just called that because I didn't fit into what people saw as beauty at the time. I didn't fit into the definition of beauty. Now times have changed, and I've naturally grown out of that style. But now, when I dress up for cultural events, the same people who call me those names all those years ago are now referring to me as tropical, exotic, and beautiful. Now, this whole experience taught me something. It made me realize that the definition of beauty is changing every day, and we can't be expected to follow the standards that society puts out in front of us. We have this constant pressure on our shoulders to follow these high expectations, yet we are only human. This is why we must unmold our minds into a new form of thinking, because ugly can be beautiful. Ugly is beautiful.
Now, how can we achieve this? Well, we can start by exposing ourselves to movies and TV shows that showcase people with real flaws, skin tones, and body shapes. By doing this, we can hopefully help heal the future generations of the engraved views we have on the words ugly and beautiful. Now, I realize this may take time, so we urge parents, in the meanwhile, to talk about this issue with their kids and talk about how unrealistic some trends are, and talk about how you can view the words ugly and beautiful in a new light. So, in conclusion, beauty changes from time to time and from culture to culture. It can either mean the world to somebody, or it can either mean nothing. Ugly can mean the world to somebody, or it can mean nothing. So don't let anybody destroy you, because there's more than a physical aspect to beauty. As time goes by, beauty on the outside will change, but beauty on the inside will forever stay the same.
Yeah, and don't even think for a second that being ugly is a bad thing, because it really isn't. If society's definition of beauty is based on your natural appearances and what you most like about yourself, if that's what society defines as ugly, then by all means let them call you ugly, because today's ugly is tomorrow's beautiful. And don't even think for a second that this is going to change. If there's one thing we want you to take away from our talk, it's that whatever you define yourself as, may it be ugly or beautiful, the world we live in has both. So be your own kind of beautiful. After all, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. And in this case, that's you. Thank you.
Thank you, Varsha and Agash. At this time, we would like to invite husband and wife, Mr. Parthi Kandavale, Scarborough Southwest 18's Toronto District School Board Trustee, and Dr. Anu Sri Skandaraja, Scarborough Rouge Park Ward 22's Toronto District School Board Trustee, for a few words of inspiration. They have traveled a long way with their busy schedule for TDSB. Please give a huge round of applause for these inspiring trustees.
Good evening. Good evening, everyone. It's a privilege to be here today on behalf of the Toronto District School Board, well, two of us. Thank you Suji teacher, Ms. Suji, for inviting us to this very important occasion to celebrate our children, right? Community's children. Parents, thank you for all that you do. I think your children here and the teachers recognize it's your love, sacrifice, dedication to your children brings you here, takes them to the classes, and I know as students, as children, you appreciate them. So I think today's a day not only to thank Suji teacher, but also your parents for all their love and sacrifice. I think it reminds us of our parents and how much they gave to us. So today's a... okay, thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Before I close, oftentimes in our community, we don't talk about mental health. So choosing this as a theme, as we saw, that affects through our body image, through our studies. There are many ways, even as adults, we face anxiety, issues on how to handle the pressures, the anxieties in life. And I think one thing I'd like to share, and I'm sure you've talked about it in your school and through the TED Talks, is your relationship with God. And I think, if I can share one piece of advice, the one relationship you have that continues as a child to a student to, when you get married or not, and as you become older, is that relationship that will steer you through times of difficulty, through times of anxiety. So that's something I would urge you to conduct. When you look at the success of many people in our world, if you take Gandhi, Gandhi said when he was in South Africa and India, going through, of course, very difficult times to win independence and freedom, whenever he felt great anxiety, he would open up the Bhagavad Gita to allay, to take away those fears, those anxieties. If you look at Martin Luther King, very similar, even in popular culture, any NBA star, any entertainer, singer, rapper, like to thank Jesus. I think there's an important relationship that we in education, especially in the West, do not incorporate enough, is the use of a relationship with the spiritual, with God. And that's something now in the Toronto District School Board, when we, last year, every 4 years, we do what's called a multi-year strategic plan. And for the first time, when we discuss well-being, when we look at anxiety, look at all these pieces of mental health, what is good mental health, we've incorporated the word spiritual as part of the definition of well-being. So that's, I guess, the one piece of advice I'd like to share as you develop and come into your identities as young people, is to continue that relationship with that higher source of energy, whether you call God or whichever form that you connect with. So thank you again, and I'll pass it off.
Hi, my name is Anu, and I want to start by saying thank you to teacher. This is incredible work. I had a bunch of things written down and that I wanted to talk about, but it seemed that you have already covered all of those things. I work in the university setting, and your parents should be so proud. You don't come off as high school kids. You are beyond your years, and you should be extremely, extremely proud of them. And I just want to say it's a testament to the parents. You could be doing anything on a Saturday night at home watching serials, but you chose to come out to support your kids, and that's extremely, extremely important. I think you covered a lot of the things, but I guess I could give a few advice I guess my opinion on how we could deal with mental health. I think one thing is talk to your kids and listen to your kids. I think a lot of times, and I get it too from my mom, they always tell us, what do you kids know about stress? What do you know? We came to this country and we didn't know the language and we had to work 2-3 jobs and put you through to school. I think what our kids are facing now is a new kind of stress, a different kind of stress that we perhaps weren't exposed to. I think the reality is social media is so wonderful. It connects us. You know, my mom always says, you know, when we were younger, and somebody called from back home, 3 in the morning, everyone would run to the living room to pick up the phone. And now people are calling from Jaffna on Facebook Messenger, right? So it connects us so much, but it also really isolates us. And I think social media creates a lot of anxiety. We're constantly comparing ourselves to everyone on Facebook. We think their lives are so happy. You know, we think of Facebook as a highlight reel, right? It's just the best moments of your life. It's not your entire life. And I think as young people, we might not realize that, right? We had the privilege of growing up before social media, so we know life before it. I think with young people, I guess my advice would be don't compare yourself to the highlight reel. You know, that's just like in a museum, people curate the best things of their life and put it on. And then for parents, don't compare your kids, right? I think we're in this culture where we're constantly, so-and-so's kid is doing this and so-and-so's kid is doing that. And we do it ourselves, right? Oh, look at that person. They're living such a great life on social media. And that's not the reality, right? The other advice I would say is strive to be good, not great, right? I think in our society, we focus so much on how can we be great, how can we be number one. And so many of us forget to be good. Be good human beings, be kind, be humble, be generous, right? And failure is okay, right? There's so many countless times I have failed, and it's okay. I always say, and kind of adding to it, Parthi said, believe in the universes or God's plan for your life, right? Have faith, work hard, of course. That doesn't mean I'm not going to study for my exam tomorrow because I've prayed all night. No, work incredibly hard, but have faith. If you fail at one thing, that just means God has another plan for you. And then I guess the last thing I want to say is service, right? I always say if you ever feel anxiety, obviously there's, you know, there'll be more people to talk about the mental health aspect of it, but I always say service, give back to your community. And I feel when you start giving back, you'll realize sometimes how insignificant those anxiety causing moments are, right? You'll realize that, you know, what the world and how other people are living. And I think that's a good way to realize we're so small in this, you know, giant kind of world that we live in. And I think service is such a good way to kind of combat those things. But anyways, as I said, I work at a university, so we talk in 3-hour blocks. So I'm going to not do that. And again, thank you, teachers, so much. This is a testament. We've been to so many of these things. We go all the time. And this is definitely a league of its own. Yeah, thank you. You want the mic?
Okay. No, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I had to clap for the comparing. I can't help it because that's important, but thank you. Once again, they did have a very busy schedule, so I really appreciate the fact that you traveled, and most of our guests traveled so far to come here, so thank you so much. And I hope there's more talks happening on mental health, and I'm glad that TDSB is doing the wellness project. I read some about it, so I'm hoping it continues, and hopefully PDSB and Halton and everyone else follows you know, what you started. So thank you. Thank you.
Can we please get another huge round of applause for Mr. Parthi Kandavale and Ms. Dr. Anusri Skandaraja?
As part of our youth leadership program, our teachers started a Girls Empowerment Club. Since March 2017, we have experienced a sense of friendship, unity, community, and we have had such meaningful conversations that we have never had before. Every week, we look forward to GEC. This sense of community has improved our combined mental health. To know that we have our sisters to talk to help us out, and to simply just have a laugh has been one of the most inspirational relationships that we have ever had before. During our mental health chapter of our lessons, our teacher introduced us to yoga.
Yoga is a mind-body practice. Yoga frees a person from when they're confused or distressed. Yoga and deep breathing target the autonomic nervous system. There are many studies happening today to see the benefits of yoga with people who have anxiety disorders and chronic depressions. At this time, yoga is recommended as a complementary approach, which is effective in conjunction with standard approaches delivered by a licensed therapist. Today, we would like to show you 2 minutes of what we do.
Bell, Bell Let's Talk is probably something you all have heard of and have participated in. The goal is to fight the stigma, improve access to care, support world-class research, and lead by example in workplace mental health. Bell Let's Talk released several commercials every year, connect, connected to mental health awareness and action. We're now going to perform 5 short 1-minute commercials that our grade 9 and 10 students created in order to give an insight into the lives of teenagers and their mental health.
I would like to thank Saras Academic for giving me a chance to take part in this event through this video. I was told to talk about mental health, so let me say a few words. Mental health is not something that we used to talk in our Tamil community. அதாவது வந்து எங்கள் அப்பா அம்மா பெருசாக இதை பற்றி கழிச்சிருக்க மாட்டாங்க, நாங்களும் பெருசாக அதை பற்றி யோசிச்சிருக்க மாட்டோம். என்றால் they have seen so much, they have suffered and struggled so much, and yet they are really strong. ஸோ அதை பற்றி நாங்கள் பெருசாக அந்த லைக் ஸ்ட்ரெஸ்ஸாக டிப்ரெஷனாக இதெல்லாம் நாங்கள் பெருசாக கேட்டது இல்லை எங்கள் ஃபேமிலிகளில். பட் இட் எக்ஸிஸ்ட், ஓகே. And nowadays it's getting worse and worse. Why? Because of social media. Okay, social media is the main culprit here, and I will tell you how. Video eliminone எங்களோட ஃபோனை செக் பண்ணுறோம், எப்பெல்லாம் டைம் இருக்கோ அப்பெல்லாம் ஃபோனை செக் பண்ணுறோம், படுக்கும் முதல் ஃபோனை செக் பண்ணுறோம். And all we are thinking about is we're just comparing ourselves with others, right? அடுத்தவங்க இப்போ ஹாலிடேஸ்க்கு போயிருந்தால் நானும் இப்படி ஹாலிடேக்கு போயிருக்கலாமே, நல்ல வடிவ ஃபோட்டோ எடுத்துருக்கலாம்னு யோசிப்போம். இல்லாட்டி அடுத்தவங்க வடிவ உடுப்பு போட்டு ஃபோட்டோ எடுத்திருந்தால் இஃப் ஒன்லி ஐ லுக் திஸ் ஃபிட், எனக்கு வடிவாக இருந்திருக்குமே இது ஃபோட்டோன்னு யோசிச்சிருப்போம். இல்லை, we are just downgrading and underestimating ourselves, and we are not thinking about every blessings we already got. Okay, and I think parents should help their kids. எப்படி இருந்தால் சின்ன வயசுலேருந்தே நல்லா படிக்கணும், சம்பாதிக்கணும், வீடு வாங்கணும், கார் வாங்கணும், குடும்பம், கல்யாணம் அப்படின்னு தான் சொல்கிறேன் தவிர சந்தோஷமாக இருக்க வேணும்னு யாருமே சொல்லித்தர இல்லை. நாங்கள் அதை பற்றி யோசிச்சிருப்போமா எப்படி சந்தோஷமாக இருக்கிறது இல்லைன்னு. We have to teach our kids to spend their money in traveling, eating, doing things that make them more happier. Okay, to be happy with things that are not materialistic. அதாவது வந்து இந்த ஃபோன், சோஷியல் மீடியா இது எல்லாத்தையும் விட்டுட்டு உலகத்தை சுற்றி பார்க்க வேண்டும், அடுத்த கல்ச்சர்களை நாங்கள் தெரிஞ்சுக்கொள்ள வேண்டும். As a comedian, my goal is to make sure that everybody laugh at my jokes or everybody entertained by my videos or my stage performance. So, okay, so all I want to say, smile, be happy, and try to make others happy. I'm sorry for the background noise.
Commercials are about to begin.
What courses do you guys have next semester?
I have French, math, science, and art.
I have geography, gym, math, and English.
I have gym, science, math, English.
Hey guys, you want to hear a joke?
Sure.
Yeah.
If a teacher told you that, imagine that you were in a world where dinosaurs would want to eat you, what would you do?
I don't know.
Easy. Stop imagining.
I'll be back. I'm gonna go to the washroom.
Depression isn't always at 3 a.m. Sometimes it happens at 3 p.m. while you're with your friends and you're halfway through a laugh.
Oh, sorry. Hey, wait up. Hey, wait up. As classmates, friends, and parents, it is hard to see the scars on the inside.
But please try to see the scars on the outside because they might be there.
Why does my hair look this way? Yeah, it looks pretty weird. Why do people judge me on what I wear? What are you, 60? Do you not see what you wear? Why am I questioning my self-worth? Because other people look better than you. Stop. Every post you see isn't just a photo, but a real person. Think before you comment.
In math today, we learned how to use the replay function on a calculator.
There's such thing as a replay function on a calculator?
Guys.
No way, man.
I know, it's really weird.
guys.
It shows you a bunch of equations.
Can I tell you something?
She's messing with you. Maybe she's just doing that to see if you actually pay attention in her class.
Oh.
That's probably it, for sure. Yo, what's with him? I don't know, man. Lately, this guy's just been acting really weird.
Maybe we should go check on him.
No, don't go check on him. He's just crazy. He's an attention seeker. Don't need to worry about him. That's what he wants you to do.
You're probably right. Anyways, we gotta go to baseball practice.
Everybody goes through some hard times and feel isolated. We shouldn't just label them and bystand. We should take action.
Hey Haley. Hey Saturja. Hey Musha. Where's Nishani? Let me call her. Where are you? Yeah, class is about to start.
Guys, I actually can't come to school today.
Why?
I have a dentist appointment in the morning, and I might as well skip school.
Okay.
Bye
Bye
then. Bye.
Why is it easy to say we're going to a dentist?
But hard to say that we're going to a psychologist.
It's okay to get help.
Let's change the way we talk.
Thank you. And now to our next and final TED Talk. And boy, this talk is definitely going to make you smile. A grade 11 student. Our presenter is Mr. Kabishan Yoganandan, a grade 11 student. His talk is about life from a 2-year-old. Here we will learn a lot about 2-year-olds and what they can teach us about life and mental health. And trust me, we can learn a lot from a 2-year-old.
On August 7th, 2015, my life changed forever. This was the day that my little sister, Arthi, was born, and she is the most important person to me in my life. And she's even sitting here in the crowd today. Although many people can relate to this moment, where seeing a younger sibling for the first time is very special for them, my situation's a little bit different. You see, I was 13 years old when Arthi was born, meaning that there's a 13-year age difference between us. From this point in my life, things drastically changed, with more responsibilities, more things I need to be aware of, and unfortunately, less sleep. However, in the 2 years that I have known my sister, I've done a study of my own. I've tried to analyze her actions or how she reacts to different situations to understand her better. I've even gone down on her level just to sit with her or to play with her. And down there, the world is a whole different place. So what did I learn down there? I learned that 2-year-olds can teach us 3 valuable life lessons. And I can guarantee that these lessons can improve anyone's mental health. So welcome to my story. In my story, my sister is the main character, and her name will change according to the lessons we will discover. She'll be called Miss Humor, Miss Strategist, and Miss Talkative throughout my story. So let's get right into lesson number 1, which is to be able to find humor in any situation. I can recall a moment where I was woken up at 2 a.m. I just felt a light tapping on my shoulder, and I had to make sure I wasn't still dreaming, because I turned over and I see my sister staring back at me, seeing if I was awake or not. I was the only one around for her to bother, as my mom works a night shift, and my dad was way too deep in his sleep. She was pointing towards the door, which means she wanted to leave the room for whatever reason. So I picked her up, still half asleep, and I took her outside. I kept following where she was pointing to until we finally ended up in the kitchen, where I let her down from my arms and I see her run towards the cabinet and pull out a bag of Doritos. I was in shock. I was seriously woken up at 2 a.m. for a bag of Doritos. I can still remember her face, with a huge grin, eating her chips. I guess Dorito cravings aren't to be taken lightly. As annoying as this incident was, I do have to admit, it's something funny I can look back on. How'd she know where the Doritos are in? Why'd she get this craving for a late night snack all of a sudden? Some questions I'll never know the answer to. But one thing I do know for sure is that every situation can be seen through a humorous perspective. In fact, here I'll give her the title Miss Humor because of how perfectly she represents it. With humor falls an aroma of happiness, with the ability to reduce the intensity of any heated conversation. An example of this would be when my mom and I are arguing, whether it's about my marks or what I'm going to do with my future, which could be a whole other TED Talk on its own. My sister is able to casually walk in, popping her head, waddling in, and staring at us. My mom instantly smiles and picks her up, and in that moment, our conversation is history. See, humor has been quite the lifesaver for me. Did you know that just having a sense of humor can improve your physical and mental health? It can help alleviate pain relief, improve your immune system, and can make you less stressed. Simply just laughing can play a role in muscle relaxation, which reduces tension and can even make pain hurt less. Since Miss Humor is able to make me and my family laugh just by doing these silly things, in a way she's really helping out our health. I know that this lesson can be applied to many of your lives as well. Now let's move on to our second lesson, which is to have multiple plans to achieve a goal. Here, Miss Humor becomes Miss Strategist, and Miss Strategist's biggest goal is delicious food. I can recall moments while driving by fast food places, and from watching my sister, I know she has a step-by-step plan in order to get what she wants. Step 1 is to make sure everyone else in the car is also aware of what she wants. Let me show you. Look, she'll yell, and I'll see the golden arches of a McDonald's building. Look, she'll repeat, and I'll see the orange logo of Pizza Pizza. My sister will stare at the building, pointing it out and making eye contact, so everyone else in the car is also looking where she is. However, if not everyone's paying attention, step 2 is there for that. Step two is to make noise. Let me give another demonstration. Amma, yummy peasy, is one of her favorite phrases. Amma, which means mom in my language to grab her attention. Yummy, to indicate that there's yummy food where she's looking. And peasy, to show that she's hungry for some pizza. If step 1 and 2 doesn't get her any food, she'll have to move on to step 3, create guilt. If you ignore Miss Strategist's plea for food, she'll make you feel bad for it. She will frown in an adorable way that'll make you feel horrible about yourself, which usually results in my mom buying food for her, but doesn't work 100% of the times. In those cases, step 4 is her final resort, cry. And you know these cries. The ear-piercing cries, the migraine-causing cries, the cries you'll do anything to stop. Well, it's one of those cries. My sister will cry to a point where everyone else in the car is concerned about her and are trying their best to soothe her. Although we may have drove past the restaurant in steps 1 and 2, at least crying may get a chocolate or a treat at home to compensate for what was missed out on. Lesson 2 show the benefits that came with having multiple plans to achieve a goal. Did you know that just being goal-oriented can also assist with their mental health? By being goal-oriented, people stay productive, always having something on their mind that they want to accomplish. However, when we lack short-term realistic goals, we are vulnerable to mental illness. In fact, when professionals deal with those who are struggling with mental illness, emphasis is often placed on their own goals and strengths. I know if my 2-year-old sister is able to create her own plan for a realistic but maybe insignificant goal, all of you are also capable of creating plans for your own achievements. Now let's move on to our third lesson, which is to talk it out, even if what you have to say makes no sense. Here, Miss Strategist becomes Miss Talkative. Miss Talkative at the age of 2 doesn't have the largest vocabulary, but that's not stopping her from talking. There are situations where my mom might scold my sister for doing something that she's not supposed to do, which is most of the time. But my sister won't sit there and take that. She'll fight back. She'll use her own made-up words and gibberish to argue back with my mom. Sometimes my mom would jokingly continue the argument, but my sister would not let down. She would never run out of things to say. Younger children seem to have no filter. They just say the first thing that comes to their mind, regardless of how weird or inappropriate it may be in that situation. When comparing myself to my sister, I noticed that as I got older, I began to lock up my problems and avoid conversations with my parents, unlike my sister, who willingly talks about anything and everything. According to CAMH, there's a type of therapy called psychotherapy, which is entirely talking to your therapist about attitude or behavioral changes. Talking is a therapy. Many people who suffer from mental illness don't talk about their issues because they may feel shameful or afraid. Well, talking may help you relieve those negative emotions. I know from experience, my sister is always positive and energetic whenever she has anything to say. 2-year-olds can say approximately 75 words, which means that teenagers and adults are definitely capable of expressing what's on their mind as well. From having a 2-year-old in my life, I learned the valuable lessons of finding humor, being goal-oriented, and talking about what's on my mind. And from analyzing these lessons, I realized that they can be applied to everyday life, including my own. By finding humor, I've been able to stay calm during tense situations. Stressful times at school have been a little bit easier as I've become more goal-oriented and face myself through my work. And although I'm not the most talkative person, I am getting better at being more social and talking about how I'm feeling. After hearing this talk, I know that each one of you will have some way where you can apply at least one of these lessons to your life, whether it's as small as smiling more often or as big as talking to someone about something that's been going on for a while. I hope that you've learned as much from my sister as I have. Thank you.
Dr. Gautami Pulahasingam, a psychologist at Waterloo University, to say a few words.
So hi everyone. I just wanted to say first and foremost just a few things. I don't want to keep anyone too long or take up too much time. But first and foremost, I just wanted to say thank you to ma'am, Suji, and to everyone here who's worked so hard to put this together, and to all of our amazing speakers and TED Talk presenters. You guys did an amazing job, and I just wanted to share how I was so taken aback, and I feel so privileged to be here hearing all of you speak. I think you all did an amazing job. You were creative, innovative, and I think each of you touched on some really important issues with respect to mental health. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, guys. I'm just going to set this down here. And yes, so thank you for each of the talks, and I was writing notes as each of you guys were speaking, so I'm going to send you guys a little note after just speaking to each one. And so I think some of the topics that were touched upon here are some really important issues that are being discussed not only in research and psychology, but are important to practice. And so those include things such as family involvement, engagement, community engagement, the physical benefits of movement in terms of helping to maintain health and well-being. And as I was sitting there listening to all of these young folks speak about their experiences, it made me think about my own work, working at the University of Waterloo, working with folks who are just slightly older than most of you here. So that's everyone from first-year university students onwards, and consulting with the university on a range of different mental health topics. And one of the things that one of the questions that I've gotten from community members when I've been out to speak before is, and parents and families, is what can we do, right? Whether it's in order to raise awareness, or whether it's to help or assist with kids or families that you're working with, or your own child or family. And while I thought maybe I could offer a few words of advice, and it might be something that some of you guys might also find important or helpful. And so one of the things I remember early when I was training about 5-6 years ago at McGill to complete my doctorate is we took a course in family psychology, and there was a psychologist there, and he's been working in the field for a number of years. And one of the things that he said, and I absolutely agree with him on this, is that as much as there are healthcare professionals and as much as I privilege the opportunity to work with clients, families are one of the most important aspects of our life, especially in the Tamil community and in the South Asian community more generally. Families are the means and the way through which we absorb our values, we learn about society, the way that we learn about our own culture, and what culture really means. How we learn about tradition is what's passed on through our families, more so, I believe, than any other area. And so one of the things that is also important to keep in mind is that oftentimes with children, as much as professionals will work with adults and children and adolescents, there's no one who loves a child, I believe, as much as their parents. Now, there might be few exceptions to this, but I think parents can play the most important aspect or the most important role in children's lives and in adult children's lives. And given that, I think that there's a tremendous opportunity for parents to continue to play an important role as folks enter their adolescent years and adulthood years. And so to parents and families, one of the things I would say is, I think everyone, I think all parents try to prepare their children for the real world. And they say, you know, I'm hard on my kids. Sometimes I've heard parents say, I'm hard on my kids because I want them to be prepared. The world is not such a great place. And, you know, they're going to have tough times. I've had tough times, they might say, right? And so one of the things that I would encourage you and I would implore you to think about is that also try to prepare your kids to try and teach them humility, try and teach them appreciation, try to teach them self-love and self-care, because you're right, the world is tough. So why is it as parents and as family members that we should make the world a harder place for them, right? If we have the opportunity to build them up, why not do that so that when they step foot into the world, they can be the strongest people that they can be. So that's one thing that I just wanted to say. And the other piece I just wanted to share was, I think parents also have a hard job. I think there's no harder job than being a parent. And for that, it's important to take care of yourself, because the more that you take care of yourself and you teach your kids and show your kids how you're taking care of yourself and your own stressors, I think that there's a lot that kids can learn from that. And one last thing I just wanted to say is you guys did an amazing job. I think that everything that you presented on is so timely and so important. And I see you as being the future leaders in this area. So please continue to do what you're doing. Continue to talk about these topics. And I hope that the families who are out here will continue these conversations as they leave this auditorium. Thank you, auditorium today. Yes, so thank you so much. You guys did an amazing job, and it's a privilege to be here. Thank you.
Now we're going to show some videos of people that wanted to come, and they created some videos to show you guys.
Mental health is a serious issue in today's world, but it doesn't get talked about as much as it should be. சின்ன பிள்ளையிலே பாதிக்கப்பட்டு உங்களுக்கு முன்னாடி வந்து நிக்க போறாங்க இதை பற்றி கதைக்கிறதுக்கு. எங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்சு எங்களுக்கு முன்னாலேயே எத்தனையோ பேர் இதால பாதிக்கப்படுறாங்க. ஆனா நாங்க தான் இது ஒரு பெரிய விஷயமே இல்லாத மாதிரி தூக்கி எறிஞ்சிடுறோம். இதுக்கு வந்து முக்கிய காரணமே education. It's because a lot of people don't understand what it is, and they don't understand what the symptoms are and what it could do to somebody. And this is why it's so important that we need to start discussing this.
Hey guys, this is Gobiraj here. First of all, I would like to commend Saras Academy for taking this initiative and thank them for the opportunity to convey my message on mental health awareness. This is currently one of the most important stigmas we face in the South Asian community. And I think the reason for that is the fact that we're from a region where there is a lack of medical research and education on mental health. We're also from a region where anyone who behaves in a certain way or exhibits certain symptoms are considered not normal and just looked down on. And what I think this does is it pushes families towards self-containment as opposed to seeking out and getting help. But here we have the proper medical research, the tools, and the education. So given what we know, I think it is very important that we take mental health seriously. It's important that you listen to your kids, listen to their problems, and seek out the proper channels to get the help they need. And I just want to leave off on a note that seeking out help is nothing to be ashamed of, and we should be creating awareness not just within the South Asian community, but globally as well.
What if everyone, it's your girl, Lily? Lily felt more appropriate for this video, so it's your girl, Lily. My mental health. I'm gonna be real with y'all. I am mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually exhausted. I have been doing YouTube consistently for 8 years. For 8 years, I've been putting out videos, and for a lot of those years, I've been doing it twice a week, plus the daily vlogs. It's been a lot. I've enjoyed it, I love it, but that doesn't take away from the fact that it has been a lot. And I know I'm always about hustling and hustling harder and making to-do lists and being productive, but I'm also about happiness. And I always preach that you should be happy, you should take care of yourself. And what kind of person would I be if I preached that but didn't actually practice it? I encourage anyone else out there that is feeling like they're not all mentally there and they're not their optimal happiness to also work on themselves. You are the biggest and most important project you will ever work on. I'm going to go hustle harder on myself. I love you so much, and I will see you soon. One love, Lily. That is a wrap. And
ਆਪਣੇ ਲਈ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਜ਼ਰੂਰੀ ਚੀਜ਼ ਹੈਗੀ ਹੈ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨੀ। ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਖੁੱਲ੍ਹ ਕੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਲੈਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ। ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਮੇਸ਼ਾ ਗੱਲ ਸਮਝਣ ਲਈ ਕਰ ਲੈਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਹੈ, ਨਾ ਕਿ ਜਵਾਬ ਦੇਣ ਲਈ। ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ 'ਚ ਤਕਲੀਫ ਆਉਂਦੀ ਹੈ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਆਪਾਂ ਡਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ। ਆਪਾਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕਰਨ ਤੋਂ ਡਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਦਾ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਸੀਗਾ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੇ ਮਾਂ-ਬਾਪ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਹੋ ਜਿਹੀਆਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਸੀ, ਨਾ ਹੀ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਕੋਲ ਤਰੀਕੇ ਸੀਗੇ ਇਹ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਨ ਲਈ। ਨਿਆਣਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਜ਼ਮਾਨਾ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਕਰਦੇ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਉਹ ਡਰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਡਰਦੇ ਆ। ਬੱਚੇ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਕਰਕੇ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਮੁਸੀਬਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੱਲ ਲੱਭੀ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ। ਸਿਆਣੇ ਵੀ ਇਕੱਲੇ ਨੇ ਤੇ ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਗੱਲ ਕਰਨ ਦੇ ਬਜਾਏ ਉਹ ਮੀਡੀਆ ਤੇ ਆਸ ਰੱਖਦੇ ਆ ਵੀ ਉਹ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਮੁਸੀਬਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਹੱਲ ਲੱਭੂਗੀ। ਮੀਡੀਆ ਆਪਣੀਆਂ ਮੁਸੀਬਤਾਂ ਦਾ ਹੱਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਲੱਭ ਸਕਦੀ। ਉਹ ਇੱਕ ਬਿਜ਼ਨਸ ਆ ਤੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਮੁਸੀਬਤਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਚੈਨਲ ਤੇ ਲਿਆ ਕੇ ਫਾਇਦਾ ਹੀ ਹੋ ਰਿਹਾ। ਹੁਣ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਬਦਲਣਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਕਿਉਂਕਿ ਆਪਣੇ ਜ਼ਮਾਨੇ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਨਵੀਆਂ ਮੁਸੀਬਤਾਂ ਆ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਇਸ ਵਕਤ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਤੇ ਸਿਆਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਜਨਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਮੇਲ ਜੋਲ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪੁਲ ਬਣਾਉਣ ਦੀ ਲੋੜ ਆ। ਜੇ ਨਿਆਣੇ ਖੋਲ ਕੇ ਗੱਲ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਿਆਣੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਦਦ ਕਰ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖਿਆ ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ। ਜੇ ਆਪਾਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਪਿਛੋਕੜ ਵੱਲ ਦੇਖੀਏ, ਆਪਣੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਵੱਡੀਆਂ ਜੰਗਾਂ ਲੜੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਬਹੁਤ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਹਮਣਾ ਕੀਤਾ। ਸੋ ਆਪਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਉਹੀ ਤਾਕਤ ਵਰਤ ਕੇ ਇਹ ਨਵੀਆਂ ਮੁਸ਼ਕਲਾਂ ਦਾ ਸਾਹਮਣਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ।
Hey guys, it's me, Sandy, the Sandy Lion, and I just wanted to take a minute to commend you guys on all the amazing work that you're doing in the mental health scene. And it's so important to start these conversations and encourage people to have these conversations because everyone is experiencing a shift on a mental level, and it's just easier to be able to have people who are willing to talk to you about it and help you get through what you need to get through. And especially in a day and age like what we are experiencing right now, it's so important to have these conversations because we have so many distractions around us preventing us from having them. And I just wanted to give you guys a shout out and thank you for all your support and love, and I hope to meet you guys soon.
Can we have Mr. David Bella onto the stage to say a few words?
எல்லாருக்கும் வணக்கம். நான் தமிழ் தான் கதைக்க போகிறேன். எல்லாரும் பிள்ளைகள் நீங்கள் நல்லா செஞ்சீங்க. You guys did a great job today. I'm really proud of it. கஷ்டப்பட்டு ப்ராக்டிஸ் பண்ணி அதுவும் பேப்பரை வாசிக்காமல் ப்ரெசன்டேஷன் பண்ணுறேன்னு நீங்கள் அது எவ்வளோ பெரிய விஷயம். என்னால் எல்லாம் பேப்பர் வாசிக்காமல் ப்ரெசன்ட் பண்ணிடலாம். ப்ளீஸ் guys give them a round of applause. இப்போ நான் ஸ்ரீலங்காவிலேருந்து கனடாவுக்கு வந்து 7 வருஷம் தான் ஆகுது. இப்போயே சொல்லிடுறேன். என் அப்புறம் கனடா தமிழாக்கள் வீட்டு போய் சொல்கிறேன், அந்த பெரியனை பேர் இப்படி தமிழ் கேட்குறேன், நீயும் இருக்கிறியேண்டு. நான் பிறந்தது யாழ்ப்பாணம், அதால் தான் எனக்கு தமிழ் இப்படி இருக்குது. சரியா? ஓகே. இப்போ நான் கெனனால நான் ஊரில் இருக்கக்குள்ளேயே எனக்கு அந்த நான் புலியில் எல்லாம் நான் கணக்கு போய் சேர்ந்துருக்கிறேன். என்னை புலி பண்ணியிருக்கிறாங்க. அப்போ எனக்கு அந்த காலத்திலேருந்து நான் மென்டல் ஹெல்த்தில் எனக்கு அஃபெக்ட் பண்ணப்பட்டேன் நான். ஆனால் நான் இதில் நான் வேற எங்கேயுமே இந்த கதையை சொல்லல, இந்த சின்ன பிள்ளைகளை பார்க்க சொல்லணும் போல இருக்குது, அதெல்லாம் சொல்கிறேன். நான் வந்து ஒரு நாள் எனக்கு ஒரு மேத்ஸ் மார்க்ஸ் வந்தது 38. வீட்டை எப்படி கொண்டு போய் அப்பா அம்மாட்ட காட்டினா வீட்டோட தோற்றுவாங்க, இல்லாட்டி போட்டு மிதிப்பாங்க, காட்டேலாது. அப்போ அந்த 38 மாட்டிட்டு போய் அம்மாட்ட காட்டினேன். அம்மாவும் அப்படியே சந்தோஷப்பட்டு, ஐயோ ராசா நீ நான் ஒரே ஒரு மகன் தவம் பெற்ற மகன் அது இதெல்லாம் சொல்லி சிக்கன் கறியெல்லாம் வச்சு தந்தா. அதையும் சாப்பிட்டேன். அடுத்த நாள் கொண்டு போய் ரிப்போர்ட் கார்டை கொடுத்தேன். மிஸ் வாங்கி வச்சுட்டு ஒரு கிழமைக்கு பிறகு எனக்கு வீட்டை கால் பண்ணியிருக்கேன், அப்பா அம்மா வர சொல்லி ஸ்கூலுக்கு. அப்பா கனடாவில் இருந்தவர், நானும் அம்மா தான். அப்போ அம்மாவும் என்ன ஸ்கூல்லேருந்து கால் பண்ணலாமன்ட்டு என்னை கூட்டிகிட்டு போனான். என்ன நடந்ததுன்னு கேட்டால் 88 தெரிஞ்ச மாற்ற தெரிஞ்சவங்கள மகனுக்கு டோட்டல் மாற்ற தெரியலையே. டோட்டலாக மாட்டுப்பட்டுட்டேன். அப்போ வீட்டை கூப்பிட்டு வச்சு அடிக்கிட்ட அகப்பக்கம் பாட அடிச்சு அப்பாவுக்கும் ஃபோன் பண்ணி ஸ்கைப்பில் அவருங்கிற அந்த கத்துற ஸ்கைப்பில் உனக்காக நான் இங்கே வந்து மாடு மாதிரி வேலை செய்கிறேன், நீ இப்படி திடீர் அது இதுறான் காத்தி இந்த விளையாட்டுச்சாவன் எல்லாத்தையும் தூக்கி வச்சுட்டாங்க. எனக்கு என்ன செய்கிறேன்னு தெரியல. ஒரு தமிழ் படத்தை பார்த்தேன். அதில் ஒரு இந்த சீனில் நான் இம்ப்ரெஸ் ஆகி வீட்டை வந்து மோட்டின் ஸ்ப்ரேன்ற ஒரு சாமான் இருக்குது, நீங்கள் நுழம்புக்கு அங்கே ஸ்ப்ரே பண்ணுறது பூச்சி மருந்து, அதை எடுத்து வாய்க்குள்ளே அப்படியே ஒரு 5-6 ஸ்ப்ரே அடிச்சுட்டு போய் அப்படியே படுத்துட்டேன். நான் நினைச்சேன் அடுத்த நாள் காலமலை நான் செத்து போயிடுவேன். எஸ், ஐ அட்டெம்ப்டட் சூசைட் when I was little. அப்போ நான் அம்மாவை போய் சென்டிமெண்ட்டாக பார்த்து அம்மா கத்துறா, ஐயோ எனக்கு ஒரு பிள்ளை. நான் கவலைப்படாதீங்க, நாளையோட எல்லாம் கிளியர் ஆயிரும், நீங்கள் ஒன்றும் கவலைப்பட தேவையில்லை. அப்பாவுக்கு விளங்கே இல்லை. அடுத்த நாள் காலமை கண் முழிச்சு பார்த்தேன், கண் முழிக்கு நான் நினைச்சேன் ஹெவன்லேண்ட், பார்த்தா வீட்டு தான் இருக்கிறேன். 3 நாளைக்கு தொடர்ச்சியாக எனக்கு டயரியா. 3 நாளைக்கு வாழ்க்கை வெறுத்து போயிட்டேன். 10 கிலோவும் குறைஞ்ச நான். அதை நான் அந்த விஷயத்தை அம்மாக்கு 2 வருஷத்துக்கு முன்னுக்கு தான் நான் சொன்னேன். அவ இருந்து விழுந்து சிரிச்சு அப்பா கேட்டேன், மோட்டினுக்கு பதிலாக எலிமருந்து குடிச்சிருந்தா நான் அப்பயே போய் சேர்ந்துருப்பேன். அதனால நீங்க சிரிக்கிற விஷயம் இல்லை, நீங்க சிந்திக்கணும். அப்போ நீங்க வந்து சின்ன வயசுல அப்படி கத்தி அடிச்சு அப்பாவுக்கு ஸ்கைப்பில் போட்டு கொடுத்து அவருங்கிறது மாங்கன்னு கத்தி அப்படி சீனை போட்டிருக்காட்டி நான் அந்த ஒரு சாமானுக்குள்ள போயிருக்க மாட்டேன். மற்ற இந்த தமிழ் படங்கள்ல வந்து கிணக்க சீன்ஸ் வந்து என்ன சொல்றது, சின்ன பிள்ளைங்க கண்ணில் பார்த்தோன்னா அவங்க அந்த அதை பொய்ன்னு நினைக்காம உண்மையை நினைச்சு அவங்க பிரெயினுக்குள்ள போட்டு வச்சிருப்பாங்க. பெற்றோர் நீங்க தான் கவனமா இருக்கணும். பட் உங்களுக்கு தெரிஞ்ச மாதிரி வேற யாருக்குமே உங்களோட பிள்ளைல தெரியாது. அதில் சின்ன சிம்டம்ஸ், இப்போ உங்களோட பிள்ளை சாப்பிடாம இருக்கிறாரா, அப்படி இல்லாட்டி ரூமுக்குள்ள போய் கதை மூடிட்டு இருக்கிறாரா, அப்படி சின்ன சிம்டம்ஸ் பார்த்தீங்கன்னா போய் கேளுங்க. அப்பு ராசாவா என்ன பிரச்சனை மார்க்ஸ் குறைஞ்சிட்டா பரவாயில்ல அடுத்த எக்ஸாம்பிளா பார்ப்போம். அப்படி நீங்க ஆதரப்படுத்தினீங்கன்னா உங்களோட பிள்ளை எங்கேயோ போகும். அவளை தான் சொல்ல விரும்புகிறேன். என்ன எனக்கு அடிக்கிறீங்க அங்கிள் பிறகு தப்பா நினச்சி எனக்கு பிறகு வெளுத்து விட்டுருவாரு என்ன. ஸோ வாய்ப்புக்கு நன்றி. என்னையும் கூப்பிட்டு இங்கே என்னை கூப்பிட்டதே பெருமையாக இருக்குது. என்ன நான் வந்து இப்போ ஃபைனல் இயர் நர்சிங் ஸ்டூடெண்ட், நான் மென்டல் ஹெல்த்லாம் மேஜர் பண்ணுறேன். அப்போ என்னை கூப்பிட்ட உடனே எனக்கு சரியான சந்தோஷம், அதான் உடனே ஓமென்று சொல்லி வந்தேன் நான். ஸோ தேங்க்யூ ஸோ மச்.
Okay, so David Billa, I mean, all the students know because they see through Instagram, they see through everything. One of the, when we found out that David Billa said yes, he was going to come, I told my Girls Empowerment Club first because we've been talking about you in the most positive, good way possible. So when I told them, I think I sent you a video of how excited they were. All they needed was his voice. I made them hide behind my screen. So when the screen voice came up, they screamed, they were shouting, they were just so excited. And all you said was, hello. And then everybody heard, and it was amazing. And that's your impact. And so like I've told people in the entertainment field, I would kindly ask that with the platform you have, that you continue speaking about mental health. And because so many children hear you, and also so many parents, especially with the language, with the clarity of your language, a lot of messages can be put out. So I kindly ask, and I know you would do it on your own, but I request on behalf of my students that you continue doing that. So thank you so much.
One more thing, எல்லா பிள்ளைகளுக்கும் எல்லாருக்கும் தான், நீங்கள் உங்களோட எப்பயாவது உங்களோட வாழ்க்கையில் நீங்கள் வந்து உங்களுக்கு யாராவது கதைக்கோணும் போல தோணுச்சுண்டா நீங்கள் யூ கேன் எனி டைம் மெசேஜ் மீ ஆன் இன்ஸ்டாகிராம். மை இன்ஸ்டாகிராம் இஸ் ஓப்பன் 24/7. ஸோ ஐ வில் பி யோர் பெரிய அண்ணா, ஜஸ்ட் லெட்டிங் யூ நோ.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. First of all, I want to congratulate all of you. You were amazing, amazing. Your presentations were amazing. The messages you had were amazing. You're obviously, oh, thank you. Thank you so much. Very colorful. Oh, sorry. Like all the confidence you had, especially one of you. What was your name? Arati, you were just exploding with confidence, like a little firecracker. Um, yeah, all of them, all of you guys, but for you, you were just, I think that first word you did, it was just bullseye. You hit the bullseye and we're all just like, whoa, she's really got a message and I have to listen to what she has to say, so it was amazing. And I know a lot of the messages that you and even the crowd today has probably heard is that how important family is when it comes to mental health. It is very important. I don't want to say the same thing over and over again because I know you're hearing it throughout the entire evening, so get hit again by the same stick over and over again. But I have a message to the students and to leaders and everybody else who's part of the Saras Academy. One thing is that you guys are at a very important part of your life right now, and things will start to change. The lens in which you look will start to change, and I say that because me and everybody else in this room has come across your age and past that stage. And the one thing that I would hope that you would never forget are your parents, your mom and dad. They are your biggest supporter, your biggest well-wishers, your biggest fans. They will always be there for you, and they will always be your strongest source of support. You can have not 10, you can have 50 friends. But when situation changes, friends will change. But in any situation, your parents will not change. So that's one thing that I hope that you will keep as a message. One thing I also want to say is you're very lucky to have this academy and to also have your Suji ma'am. That is something that I'm also with your ma'am as well, and all the other people from our generation, we never had that. So when I was brought to Canada, I was just a 4-month-old baby. And my parents were one of the first people in the country. There was no support, no source, not like anything like this. Nobody here to share their experience and to tell us what it's like, what you're going to go through. Nobody to guide our parents even, like this is what your children are going to go through. This is the educational system. Our background ourselves, we had a lot of experiences, even with just the healthcare system. I had a brother who passed away, and it was something that was very unexpected, and also goes back to my parents not having experience with the healthcare system. So that's why I landed in the healthcare system right now. But just goes to say that at that time, my only source of support was my family and my parents. And so whenever there was any problem that I came across, I didn't have somebody like Suji ma'am to go talk to or like friends like you guys. It was always my mom and dad. So that's why I keep trying to hit you guys with the same message over and over again about how important it is. And even now, even though I've got my PhD at this job, at this age, I'm not going to tell you how old I am. I don't want you to guess how old I am. There are still points in my life where when I feel sad, I think of my mom. And there was a video that I think that was played, the first or second video, where it was Suji and one of you guys were acting in it. And at the end, when she gives her mom that hug, that really hit me hard because I live in Ottawa. My parents are in Toronto, but there are times where I was in Toronto and in Ottawa, and I always think, gee, I wish my mom was beside me right now because if I were to give her a hug, I'd feel so much more better. So that's my message to you guys. And then to parents, it's very important to be friends with your children, at least after a certain age. I know that with how our lives are every day, everybody's really busy. எல்லாரும் ரொம்ப busy. வேலை அது இதுன்னு தான் ஓடப்பட்டு தெரியுமா. And I get it because mortgage இருக்குது or rent payments or whatever எல்லாம் செய்யப்படும். But all I ask is ஒவ்வொரு நாளும் ஒரு கொஞ்ச நேரம், even if it's just ஒரு 15 minutes, half an hour, உங்களோட பிள்ளையோட இருந்து just talk. இன்றைக்கு ஸ்கூல்ல என்ன நடந்தது, friends என்ன சொன்னாங்க, just to converse. And சின்ன வயசுல இருந்தே அந்த habit ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணிக்கொண்டு வந்தால் தான் when you get to my age, we still continue doing that. So that's my advice to parents. I know I'm not at the age to advise, but I feel like I should still say it just from experience. But other than that, amazing job again, and I hope you guys feel so proud for what you did because mental health, just like everybody said, is a really hard issue to talk about, especially when it comes to our society and our culture, because like you said, it's easily brushed off, but you took that topic, you presented it well, and you did phenomenal. And a big thank you to your teacher as well, who I think is hiding. And I thank all of you for inviting me. It was a pleasure, and I really enjoyed my time. Thank you.
can we have Ms. Ranish Kamal, CEO of Fidget Toys Limited, and one of our continued motivators from our first event. She's an inspirational person that we all look up to as SAC students, and she's been there since the very beginning. So can we please have you on stage?
Super exciting to be here and super excited to have been asked yet again to see you guys grow. I've been growing with y'all, and I think more than being inspirational, like that's super touching, but you guys have inspired me to continue because, I mean, you don't come across a lot of, I guess, young Tamil business women, but I have bad days, like horrible days, but every single time I look online or, you know, when social media looks so negative, I see the positive things that you guys are up to and your messages, the handwritten letters that you have written to me, yay hi, and now you're all yay hi, have really motivated me to keep going. But I think more than the advice that we've been giving out to you guys and the parents, I think it's more of a challenge. Challenge yourself every day to text your mom instead of a friend. Text your dad instead of a friend one day because, I mean, பெற்றோரா இருக்கைக்குள்ள நீங்க எவ்வளவு தூரம் வந்திருப்பீங்க, right? war zone கடந்து கடல் தாண்டி வந்து வாழ்ந்து வந்தபடியே தான் நீங்க உங்களோட பிள்ளைகளுக்கு என்ன நான் வேலை செய்யறது தெரியாதா, இது தெரியாதா, அது தெரியாதா, ஆனா உண்மையா அவங்களுக்கு தெரியாது. ஸோ அந்த கட்டத்துல உங்களோட கதைகளை அவைக்கு சொன்னாதான் புரியும். அதுல இருந்தே அவைக்கு ஒரு motivation வந்து they'll be inspired by their own parents. So start asking them questions. They're also human beings. Something that I truly learned is when you take away the age, like the number that we attach to our parents or anybody, even with myself or you guys, we're all just kids growing up. They didn't get a book to teach you how to be a child or how to be their daughter or son or whatnot. So ask them about their story. And this is not to get like a certificate from all the parents or put you guys down, but it's important to analyze that they're also people. I've gone through those struggles trying to build that relationship with my family, but hands down, just like Myri said, they will always be in your corner. I've gone through dark times where, I understand getting out of bed in grade 10 is really tough. Girl, I understand the culture comments about what is that on your forehead? Why are you wearing a pottu? Are you a fob? Well, hell nah. I was born and raised here, but I still wear it loud and proud every single day. So let that be inspiring to y'all to just wear your culture and own it, regardless of what other people say. But during those times, I know I didn't want to go back to school, but if my mother wasn't annoying as she is, and I love her to death, and knocked on that door and kept asking me every single time, what's going on, super annoying. And we all just be honest with your parents. Again, they are just friends. Build that relationship, and I challenge you, next time you text your friends, text your parents because they're really hilarious. My mom is ruthless when I'm sitting in the office and like it was like a dungeon. She'd be taking pictures of different corners of the house and being like, hey, my corner looks better than yours, doesn't it? Savage. But these are conversations that have slowly built with my parents. But nonetheless, it goes both ways. So please, parents, share your stories. We don't know. We didn't live in Sri Lanka. We didn't go through the war zones. We didn't see what you saw. You're paying rent. You're working hard hours. Tell us what paying rent looks like. Tell us that you are putting 3 hours a day moving bins from one corner to the other or cleaning a toilet, and that's how you're making money. Like, we need to know. If we don't know, then you know what? It's on you too. You can't blame us that we don't know. So please encourage that conversation. It is tough. They're not going to open up, just like we haven't been able to open up to them. But please do carry on those conversations. But nonetheless, I know I've taken up so much time, but thank you so much for honoring me each and every single time and welcoming me here. But just like you have David Billa as your brother, you always have an older sister in me. So holla at me anytime. Cool? Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
She is not only our teacher, but our best friend, the person we lean on to when we are falling, the person that guides us when we are lost, the person that has been there since the very first day we came to SAC. Now, without ma'am, my classmates and I wouldn't have had this amazing opportunity to talk about something that has to be brought out into the light. Through SAEC and ma'am's hard work, we are given so many leadership opportunities where we learn so many valuable life lessons. We not only learn how to excel in our education, but also in our daily lives. We learn to handle situations from our first interview to being able to talk to another leader. On behalf of all SAEC students, I want to thank ma'am for working restlessly day and night to give us these chances to go out of our comfort zones to show our talents.
She is not only our math and English teacher for us, but also our mentor who is always there. She cares about our academic achievements, but also our well-being. Without ma'am, we don't know where we would be in this world. Thank you for giving us the opportunity that not everyone gets the chance to do. Thank you for your dedication, your hard work, for taking your time to make us sprout into the young, talented teenagers we are today. Ma'am made this event possible and beyond perfect to bring awareness to those who may not know much about such an important topic. From listening to our TED Talks over and over again and getting every single performance put together for this event to be perfect, so thank you, ma'am, for continuing to support us each and every day.
I need the envelopes. Okay, so first of all, can I have the biggest smiles? You're done. Congratulations. So I will try to finish on time as we started on time, which is really important to me. This event has been a 2-year project. Since we started training, since we started several TED Talks, we watched several TED Talks in order for these students to perform the way they did. Mental health, everyone has talked about it. It has hit our homes severely, and we have lost several members to mental health. And that is the reason why these students came up with a topic, researched, there was innovation, and then there was a demand for change. Exactly what KID stands for. So can you all come here? I commend all these students who I might have given a lot of trouble. To some of them, I actually lied. The event was a month beforehand in order for them to have it memorized and prepared. And then when they found out, they were quite upset, but it showed how much they practiced. And every single one of these topics, they re-edited, they wrote it, and then re-changed it, and then re-edited, and every topic is up to date in terms of research. So I, again, commend, because I know this wasn't easy. I know your nervousness was added with my nervousness, and today you performed beyond any of our no, actually, I knew you would do it, but it was still phenomenal. So very, very good job. I need to talk about TED Ed. The brand itself, everyone knows. TED Ed is part of the education part of TED. These individuals, after they went through their entire training and their entire pieces were finalized, they did have an on-call through a video call with Marissa from New York, the TED headquarters, and they experienced several conversations with them, and they also saw other people from around the world and saw how they were doing their TED Talk presentation. And so that on its own is a very, very big deal. So again, good job. All these wonderful other students who I also wanted them to be on stage. Initially, it was just supposed to be the TED Talk, but I wanted each of their classes. I selected specific classes, and not all my classes were part of it. Specific classes were part of it. And then we had spoken words. Spoken words, what was amazing about that, everything was created by our students, from the words, from the how the paint should go. Everything was trained by our students. Everything, even the poem itself, was carefully crafted and chosen by my students. So this is a result of the students. Okay, so again, well done. Okay, A Million Dreams. The song is perfect because this is our dream. Our dream and hope is that we don't lose any more children to mental health. That goes for adults as well. We are hoping that even if one of you go home and have a conversation with your families, that was the whole goal of our TED Talk. We want more families to talk, whether it's in Tamil or whether it's in Hindi, whichever language, just have a conversation with your children, because one loss is already too many. Okay? Now, I have your official TED certificate that I will be giving you. There's one little thing that I need to get there, so I might get it back from you after, but I'm officially going to give it to you right now. So I will call any parents who want to take pictures. You're more than welcome to. So this is from TED Ed Clubs, and the first individual I have is Kevin Fang. Oh, for this, I would like to call my mom and dad also on the stage. Okay, my mom and dad? Yes. I will just briefly talk about this. None of anything is possible if it's not because my parents are there. If I'm staying up all night, my mom and dad are also staying up all night. In fact, last night my mom did not sleep. She was cooking. All the food you ate were homemade food. And I thank you for all the parents who also brought orders and brought it here. We appreciate it. But I would like my mom and dad here when I give out anything. They wouldn't want to come, so this is the only way I can get them on stage. Thank you. My mom, dad, brother, Sriraj, also, can you please come up on stage? Saran, Sharugan, also join the stage, please. Everyone you see, this is a product of everyone's work. Sound was very important to me in any event that I believe is the heart of an event, so that every single person hears the message. So for that, Saran, thank you. I appreciate it a lot. We call him our DJ Saran, and then DJ Sharugan, because they are our tech specialist. If my parents have heard a lot of complaints, so have Sriraj and my brother Raju. Initially, we had a lot of issues with the school, so getting this place and me wondering if this will happen, all that hassle, they heard it over and over again. The students also heard it. So this is a family project that has now come in front of you, and change is only possible if when you leave, you also have a conversation. I kindly ask that you do please have a conversation and not just say, congratulations, well done, and then end it. Please continue, tell other parents, have a chat. A lot of times, I like how a lot of my guests also mentioned this, technology has taken over our lives. A lot of times, yes, come inside, come here. They can't see you, everyone. Okay, yeah, everyone come. Okay, so technology has taken over. A lot of times parents, I know how hard you work, sometimes 2, 3 jobs, and sometimes our students are left alone most of the time to figure out things at home. I've seen a lot of things in my own students, and sometimes I do get worried that yes, on weekends we have Bharatanatyam, we have dance, we have violin, we have piano, we have so many classes that our children go through, but I'm hoping in the middle you do talk, you do have a conversation. Try to take that phone a little bit and put it to a side and have a conversation, because I would like all parents to be very close to their children, as I am close to my children, and I have learned a lot through that. So I'm hoping when you go home, conversations change. That's why we decided to let's dive into mental health. So we are putting our stepping stones, and we're asking all of you to continue that. And now with the certificate, Kevin, there you go, come to the front. Okay. I will get it back from you after, okay? All right? Oh, okay. I'll call her for Kabishan, okay? All right, smile. I don't know who's taking pictures, but hopefully someone is. Thank you. Okay, next person, Kabishan Yoganandan. Kabishan, I'm going to call sister to come up on stage. Aarti, come. This way, come. Because okay, so we know his TED Talk was about his sister. So here we go. Oh, do you want to carry her? I'll hold it for you. Okay, there we go. Whoop. Okay. All right, smile big. Be smiley. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. You want to hold her? Yeah. Okay. All right. Caroline Aradi Alexander. Good job. Okay. Satvika Selvakumar. Tachaini Raviraj. Oh, Raviraj. It's not easy to go first, so again, you can give her a round of applause for that. Thank you. Okay. Sajjan Jagannathan. Okay, you can pretend you're shorter. You know how short he was when he came? And now he's like this tall? All right, good job, okay? Varsha Vijayaraja. Vishwa Jivaraja. I said it right? I said it right. Yeah. Good job. Agash Salvanyanam. This is a special group. They've been with me for probably the longest. I mean, I've called them my babies because literally that's how small they were when they came to me. So it is perfect that this event happened through all of you. So again, like the guests have told you, continue the service, speak for those who are unable to speak, and then remember when you go to university next year, you continue that. All right? Okay, congratulations. Now, I need the medals. Oh, thank you so much. Okay, so this is the very final thing. We had a math competition a few months ago. Unfortunately, the plan was to do it right away, but because we knew this event was happening, already the expense was already quite high, so we wanted to make sure we do it on the same hall, so that's why it's been about 4 months. I'm hoping I brought all the medals. If I left anything behind, I will obviously give it to you in class, okay? But I am gonna call you out based on first place, second place, and third place, okay? All right, so. Okay. For grade 2, this might not be in order, but okay. 1 second. Okay, all right. Yep, it's not in order, so unfortunately, I'm just gonna go as it is. Please follow along. Okay, for grade 2, Satvika, Aradi, and Sajjan. Can you come here, guys, and help me put this in order? Thank you very much. All right. Okay, I got it. So, for grade 2, first place, Bhavisha. Bhavisha, come to the front, my dear. Okay, hold on. Just go to the center. Amma. Okay. Amma. Grade 7 and 8. One of them I left at home. Okay. Grade 2, second place. Kaveen. Third place, Jadusha. Get to my mom. Amma. Okay, next. Grade. Yes. Okay, the rest. Okay, so like I said, unfortunately, with everything we were carrying, we didn't bring everything, so I am gonna say what I have for grade 3. I do have only the first place for the grade 3. The very first place for grade 3 math is Surya. Surya? Oh, come, Surya. In English. Okay, grade 4. Oh, go all the way there, my dear. Third place, Ashana, I think. Okay, for grade 4, I believe Ashana left, but third place is Ashana. Okay, she left. All right, hold this. Second place for grade 4 is Abita. First place, Tulasi. 5 and 6. Okay, thank you. Okay. My dears, you can have just a seat on the ground with your medals, if you like. Kaushik, for grade 5, 6, third place. Grade 5, 6, second place, Sujita. Grade 5, 6, first place, Uchi. Okay, again, I'm missing one here, so it is at home. I will give it to you guys. I have first place and third place. So second place, unfortunately, I don't have. I'll give it to you in class. Okay. All right. Third place for grade 7, 8, Eric. First place for grade 7, 8. You can go on the side, my dear, with your brother. Yeah? Okay, grade 8, grade 7, 8, first place is Arjun. Grade 9? Yeah, okay. Okay. All right, for grade 9 math, third place, Corwin. Huh? Suraj? Suraj? Golan, go right in the center, my dear. Okay, okay, okay. Grade 9, second place. Grade 9, second place, Haley. Grade 9, first place, Saturja. Okay, grade 10. Third place, where is it? Oh. Okay. Third place, grade 10, Satvika. Second place, grade 10, Arati. First place, grade 10, Kabishan. Okay, third place is not here, but I'll say her name. Third place for grade 11 math, Vidura. Grade 11, second place, Agash. Why are you shocked? I don't know. All right. Grade 11 math, first place, Kevin. Right in the center, hun. Anga pongma. So it's exactly 8:30, so I will let you go in about 3 minutes. One important thing I do need to say, this event, yes, we all worked hard, but there's also another part of it. We tried really hard to not put any additional expenses at all for our students and parents, and so majority of it was through my family and a few friends. When I asked some of my families and friends, I appreciated any donation that came to us. And so, I don't know where my phone is, so I am gonna go based on memory. I would like to thank Tiru Mama and Sudata for your donation. Thank you so much. I would also like to thank 3 sisters. Yes? Where are you guys? Yes. Archana, Veena, and Geetana. Okay? Again, once I told them, they quickly gave me a donation. I also would like to thank Cardoc, which is one of our friends, who also very quickly gave us Cardoc. Rocky, thank you. Sorry, Cardoc, Rocky. Thank you so much for your donations. I also would like to thank Kolanana. When I told him, he immediately gave me donations as well. So thank you so much. I think I didn't miss anyone. Suraj? Yes? Okay. And of course, my own family, as in my mom, dad, brother, Sriraj, thank you for everything. I'm hoping, I don't know again when such an event may happen, but if we don't continue it, I'm hoping the message is very clear. We will continue releasing as much videos on YouTube connected to mental health. Whatever we can do, we will continue, but I ask kindly again that you do the same. All right? Okay, thank you so much, and I appreciate your time. Thank you. Good job. All right?